It's a chance for the Brisbane Lions to move up into second spot on the AFL ladder, but standing in the way, the Fremantle Dockers, who won last week convincingly at Cardinia Park. A 7-point win wasn't much in the scoreboard, but the Dockers did the job, something that they'd struggled to do throughout much of season 2023. Plenty of changes for both sides. Brennan Cox returns for the Dockers. Matthew Johnson is an inclusion. Stanley's the sub. Hamling has been omitted. Well, for the Brisbane Lions, they get back Bailey, Fort, Pryor returns. Coleman out with an injury to his face. McInerney will be missed with an ankle problem. And Kay Lohman is omitted as well. It is a perfect day for football. Beautiful conditions. There's not a cloud in the sky. About 21 degrees and a slight breeze blowing across the ground to favour those kicking to the Farmer Freeway end of the stadium. Clint Wilden with you. Great that Mitch Turner could be with me. Mitch, the Rugby League was on here last night, a couple of games, but the surface looks immaculate. A few little lines still there, but overall it's a beauty. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Clint. It looks absolutely pristine, the surface. It's as good as it's looked in a long time at Perth Stadium at the moment. As you say, not a cloud in the sky. Perfect conditions for footy. Two sides with some different form lines coming in. The Lions losing that Q clash last week to the Suns in an upset, and the Dockers going down to Cardinia Park and doing the job on the Cats. So two very different form lines coming in. Plenty to play for. The Lions with the top two spot up for grabs today if they can get a decent win over Fremantle here after Port Adelaide stumbled and got done by the Cats last night. The Dockers mathematically not out of it, Clint. However, very, very unlikely have to get a good win today. Their percentage is the thing that hurts them just as much as anything, as it often does. But looking forward to a cracking contest between these two sides. And as always, the return of Lachie Neale to Perth in front of the Fremantle fans always adds a bit of drama and a bit of theatre. And coming off a season-low disposal count last week against the Suns. So will they put someone to him? Interested to get the thoughts of the two blokes sitting behind us very soon.
Yes, we'll hear from them in just a moment. Lachie Neale with 35 touches last time these sides played. Of course, he was a Fremantle fairest and best winner twice before going up, and now he's won 3 best and fairests with Brisbane as well as a Brownlow medal. I'm also keen to see, for the first time live here in the West, Jasper Fletcher, whose dad, of course, Adrian, played with both Brisbane and Fremantle. He was the very first Christian medal winner right back in the day when playing for the Fremantle Dockers. An opportunity to see him live here in the West. But let's meet our experts. Shane Woden, the Brownlow medalist, is with us. Dual premiership cat Harry Taylor joins us again. It is the simple question whenever Brisbane roll into town. How do you stop Lachie Neale? What do you do? We saw a hard tag have a bit of success. Not often we see hard tags in the game anymore, but I've got no doubt that the effort that McGuinness did for Hawthorn on Nick Dacos went a long way towards Collingwood's loss to the Hawks. Will we see a hard tag today, gents? Good to see you both.
Afternoon, gentlemen. Great to be here. Awesome winter's Perth afternoon. Oh, it's a dying breed, the tag, and it's gone out of the game pretty much. It's only rarely it's been put out there by teams and coaching staff. It's all about team systems defensively now and pulling structures apart. Doesn't really sit well with the coaching group. So you have to with Lachie Neale. You've got to clamp him. He's their best mid. He puts his teammates into space. He extracts the footy really well. And we saw how important it was last week when Gold Coast's win. That Tuke Miller did a great job and then worked off him offensively. So whether or not it's Young or somebody else to do it again, but I think it's important they do it.
Yes, afternoon, everyone. I agree. I was very lucky to play with a guy called Cameron Ling, who was extremely good proponent of the tag. He could get 30 possessions himself and keep his direct opponent to somewhere around the 15 to 20 with limited impact. So perhaps it's a little bit old school, but I still think there's a real genuine position in a team for a tagging, negating player who has got an offensive mindset. Let's not kid ourselves. You need to be able to still offer something offensively, and I just still think there's place for that in our game.
McGuinness doesn't do anything offensively for Hawthorn. He is purely like an Anthony Franchini years ago when he used to sit on Mount Carlton, just locked down, hand in the pocket, you're not going anywhere. But like Cameron Ling, Brett Kirk, those ones who could go offensively as well and hurt you and hit the scoreboard and push forward, they're important.
The Carr brothers for Fremantle.
Yeah, Josh
did a great job. Josh in particular. I remember one day against Ben Cousins, I was afraid that Josh was going to follow him down into the Eagles' room. He marked him that tightly. I do wonder, and again, it was interesting, the difference between watching Marcus Bontempelli almost given free rein. I know they're tough to stop. He's a superstar. I accept that they're hard to stop. But no one was even standing near him for Richmond when you saw the effort that, look, Dacos, he's a superstar. Might be his second season, but he's one that we have to stop. And the Hawks early on said, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put it in your mind that we're coming after you.
Absolutely. It baffles me how you let these guys dominate footy, win clearance, get field position for your teammates, and then waltz forward unopposed and kick three.
Yeah, just try and stop.
Yeah.
Richmond, it might be hard as you say, Cliff, but try and stop them. It's worthwhile. How many times they make a difference? Almost every week.
Yeah.
Particularly at stoppage, that's the part that gets me. Like, that is a set play type of scenario. Ryan Crowley, another great proponent of the art here.
Gary Ablett's great, mate.
Yeah, that was another hand in pocket sort of player. But I just think it's stoppage in particular. We know how dominant Lachie Neale is. Someone just go and make life a little bit harder for him.
Yeah. Or sit a forward up and in front of him. So someone can squeeze his back, someone can sit in front of him and limit the influence. Because they lose McInerney today, which is a huge out for me. Like, he's a big ruckman.
Especially with Darcy missing, that they really could have capitalised on that with McInerney if they had him.
Yeah, because they score from stoppage. They are a pretty good team in that area of the game. So, Luke Jackson just has to get the ball on the ground today and get after it and limit Darcy Fort's influence around the contest.
Let's head downstairs. Bridget Lacey's got a special guest from the Dockers camp with her. Bridge.
Thanks, Clint. Matthew Boyd, Fremantle assistant coach, has been good enough to join us pre-game. Glorious day for football and playing one of the best teams in the comp and coming off a good win yourself. You must be excited.
Yeah, it's hard not to get excited on a day like today where Perth certainly turned it on weather-wise, and we're coming up against a really good opponent who, obviously they'll be ready to bounce back after a disappointing game for them last week, and we felt like we were back to somewhere near our better footy last week, so really good challenge for our young group against a team that's looking to bounce back.
You've spoken a bit about consistency being this issue across the year. You've also saved maybe some of your better performances for away from home. How important it is to make this a fortress again for your home fans?
Yeah, we'd really like to, and the Freo family will turn up today and cheer us on really strong, so we're keen to clearly get a bit more of a home ground advantage, as you mentioned. We've had some good away performances, but it's probably more the consistency side of things that we're really trying to nail down at the moment, where we have a good week or a good patch, and then we probably just let ourselves down in periods of games, more so than across the whole game. So it's week to week, but it's also the in-game consistency that we're trying to fix up. So, as I said, with a young group, that's a challenge, but we're trying to address that at the moment.
And how's your week been as a defensive coach? So many threats up there in that Lions forward line. How are you going to approach it today?
Oh, not sure. A couple of sleepless nights. Obviously, they've got a really good even spread of targets in their forward line, whether it's the aerial threats of Hipwood and Danaher, or the ground threats of McCarthy and Cameron and Rayner and these sort of guys. So, it's a real challenge for our defensive unit, but felt like last week we were able to. Our team defence stood up, and it allowed us to play the game a bit more in our front half. So clearly, a focus for us this week is to minimise their inside 50s, because once they get it in there, they're really efficient. So we're going to hopefully keep it in our front half and let our forwards get to work.
Brendan Cox back this week as well, which helps. With Joel Hamlin going out of this team, it looks certain that he will play back today, but there was some talk that he might float forward at some stage.
Well, you never know. He's a very versatile player, and it's great to have him back available into the team, because what he brings to the team is not only great defensive contest and positioning, but he can be an offensive threat as well, because he can intercept the ball and he can kickstart our ball movement from his intercept game. So we clearly want him to back himself and be as proactive as he can be and help us win the ball back.
We heard Joel Corey had been campaigning to get Hayden Young into that midfield all season, and he won the battle last week. How have you gone this week? Have you won the battle to get him back in defence?
I'll let Joel win the battle, but I'll win the war with the play. No, whatever the team needs, really. We saw an opportunity last week to expose Hayden to a bit of midfield time and also expose him to a really good player in Dangerfield who we sort of scouted at Dangerfield, spent a fair bit of time in the forward half of Geelong, so it was more so start him in centre bounce and you'll end up playing as a seventh defender anyway, so and that's sort of how the game panned out. But Hayden's such a great young man that he just charges into these challenges head on, and who knows what he does today.
Another challenge, obviously, for the Lions, and there's been a lot of talk this week, is Lachie Neale, a former player of this club. What's going to be the plan for him today? Hayden Young was one name mentioned, but obviously James Aish has done this job plenty of times.
Yeah.
How are you going to approach that? Is it going to be a hard tag? We saw a very effective one in one of the games yesterday. Finn McGuinness, there's been a lot of talk about that.
Yeah, the tag isn't dead, which is good, given that I was a dirty, rotten tagger in my past life as a player at certain stages. But he's a quality player, and sometimes it is hard to tag those really quality players, but you've got to try and minimise the damage that they do, particularly with his first possession and his clearance work. So whether it's an individual or a bit more of a team focus and a midfield group focus, we'll let you guys pick that up as the game plays out. But he's a quality player.
And for you, where is this game going to be won and lost today?
Brisbane are one of the best contested ball teams in the comp, so I know it's very cliche, but it's going to be won and lost in the contest. Like at the end of the day, you win contested possession and clearance, and you get field position. It gives you much more of a chance. So as I mentioned earlier, we'd love to play the game in our front half, and that really starts from our ability to stand up and be really strong in the contest, which we thought we were able to do last week against a pretty good contested team as well. So the challenge is, again, with a young group, to maintain the consistency and rise to the level again, which we know Brisbane will certainly do. Gearing up to them playing finals, they'll certainly be keen to bounce back in the contest from last week.
One other player I wanted to ask you about, a young player who's had a very challenging season, and Heath Chapman. He's a guy you would love to see out there as the defensive coach. Shows so much promise. We understand he had an injury yesterday playing for Peel Thunder in the WAFL. Can you give us any more information on him?
Yeah, I can't give a heap more information other than he'll have to consult some specialists, and they'll have to assess that injury tomorrow. Usually we do those things about 48 hours post, so he'll be in at the club tomorrow, and we'll assess where that's at. It's obviously disappointing for him, given that he's had some challenges with his hamstrings this year and some injury challenges in his first couple of years at AFL footy. So highly talented young man, very diligent. So whatever it is, he'll bounce back bigger and stronger. And I'd like to say better for it, but it's obviously hard for him to take that at the moment.
In your opinion, is he a future midfielder or a defender for the future?
Joel Corey will say he's a midfielder, but he wants all the backs as mid. So I think with Chappie, he's got such great versatility and attributes with his athleticism, his aerial, and his agility, that he could play just about anywhere really, and he's got a pretty good footy brain. So he'll develop into whatever role the team needs really, and that's exciting for him and us.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us pre-game. Good luck today.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There's a bigger picture to be found, a wider viewpoint. There's more than one side to every story, and you'll find so much more with ABC News Online. Around the world and from wherever you are, get a bigger picture of the stories that matter to you, with explainers, live blogs and analysis. Your news, your way, every day, from Australia's most trusted news source. Download the ABC News app or head to ABC News Online.
Grandstand AFL. This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL season.
AFL.
On radio, on digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
As we welcome our listeners joining us on Queensland News Radio to Perth Stadium, a terrific afternoon for football. Clear skies, about 21 degrees. Both teams warming up downstairs. Brisbane in their away jumper, the traditional Fitzroy colours, and the white shorts. The Dockers in the all-purple with the 3 white chevrons at the fronts. Great to see them both out here. Great to have you with us, also on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and ABC News Radio. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner in commentary. Our experts for this game, Shane Woden and Harry Taylor. There is another game taking place right at this point in time. St Kilda up against Carlton at time in that contest, and the Saints leading at this point 7-2-44 to Carlton's 3-4-22. So quite remarkable with that score. There's been a few upsets, and there was almost another upset the first quarter of North Melbourne versus Melbourne. Our listeners would know that from Tasmania, who were with us earlier. Melbourne 15-13, 103, 32-point winners over North 10-11, 71. But it was an amazing start by North Melbourne. Huge game coming up here for Brisbane, a chance to go second on the AFL ladder. They can leap ahead of both Melbourne, who have put themselves there now, and Port Adelaide, with Port at the moment stumbling a bit as finals approach. They've now lost their past 4 games. We heard Matthew Boyd tiptoe around the question that we asked for our listeners across WA a short time ago, which was, how do you stop Lachie Neale? I don't think we're any closer to finding out, though James Aish is another fair solution to put on Lachie Neale. He is the player that they have to lock down Fremantle if they're to spring a surprise here in the West. What else should we be looking out for? Shane Woden and Harry Taylor on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it's a great move, isn't it? Aishi is an option for him too. He's done that previously over the weeks. JL seemed to have gone to him as a not necessarily a tag, but as probably a run-with player who can control the corridor as well. The big one I'm looking forward to, Harry, and you can speak more on this one too, is what Corbett, Jaimis and Tracy do and how they combat Payne and Andrews. We saw last week with Casbolt and King and what they did, and I thought the Brisbane defence last week, particularly their tools, were all at sea against the Gold Coast Suns forwards. Yeah, in a clash here in 22, Freo were able to kick 99 points. I think it was 51 entries. So to beat Brisbane, you've got to kick a score. They, I think, give you a little chance every now and again. Their defenders are very proactive, but they work very well collectively. The really important part when you're playing against someone who reads the ball really well, who can drop off. Harris Andrews, unbelievable at that at the moment. It's about making him defend for long periods. You've got to get him to turn his back. You've got to get him to be running towards goal, his opposing goal. Make him feel a bit uncomfortable, and it's important to change the angles. Players that want to read the ball well rely on the ball moving quite linear, straight up and down. So if you can change angles, it makes those defenders who have really good proactive position feel a little bit more uncomfortable. Because when they are dominant, their stance is fantastic. They'll be able to see, read the cues and drop off when they need to. Whereas last week, I did think Gold Coast did change the angles, didn't they? Yeah. Hit up a little bit. Yep. And when they did go long, just a lack of communication from the Brisbane defence was there as well. So, really important that they do change the angles, Fremantle. I think the half forwards in particular today for Fremantle play a really important role in that. They're the ones who need to be dangerous. They need to be working up and back, across the ground, just making it feel a little bit uncomfortable for these players who love to read the ball, they love to rebound from their back 50. So, yeah, it's a great point and something that I'm sure Fremantle have scouted pretty hard this week. It was a great coaching move, and your ex-teammate Joel Corey made a really big push for it in the Fremantle match committee room to put Hayden Young to Patrick Dangerfield last week. And I think it's a great coaching move. The fact that not necessarily needed a half-back, a bigger body, something completely different for the Fremantle midfield. Left footer, go in and can push back as well and take that job. Lachie Neale doesn't play a hell of a lot forward, but really important. I think it's been a great coaching move because it's something different and it gives a bigger body to Freo's midfield. Yeah, I would assume Paddy probably didn't see that coming, and neither did the Geelong sort of midfield group. So it would have been a real point of difference. And Young did a fantastic job. Not sure exactly what his role is today. We'll find out pretty soon. But
sometimes there's an art to coaching which we don't probably credit as much, and sometimes it comes from your assistants. They play a really important role in the overall coaching structure, and if that was sort of Joel Corey who led that, kudos for him for doing something a bit different.
Absolutely. It's a big one for Fremantle today. Like, they probably weren't expected last week to beat Geelong in Geelong, yet they somehow play GMHBA very, very well in the last few trips down there. But now to consolidate that win, even though mathematically they're probably still a chance to play finals, but to come back, consolidate it, back it up again and beat a top 4 would be a good feather.
How much can you lean on, you two have been there, how much can you lean on upsetting the 8 and the 4 from outside when you know you probably can't make it? Do you lean on that a little bit and go, look, we can still do something this season and cause a bit of chaos?
Oh, absolutely.
Just for something to motivate the team?
Yeah, absolutely you can. I think it's important you do. It also gives you the confidence to go into a pre-season knowing that our form at the back end was good and good enough against these top teams.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about Hayden Young and his role today and who goes to Lachie Neale, if anyone does, and James Ashe, name thrown up. Well, just casting the eye across the warm-up here, Hayden Young with the midfielders doing the stoppage work, James Ashe with the defenders as he warms up. So maybe an early sign that Young will be in the middle, as we just heard from Matty Boyd, and the fight between Joel Corey and Matthew Boyd on who gets Hayden Young in their line. He says, well, Joel might be winning the battle, but he will win the war and he will get Hayden Young back. So some good friendly banter and games between the two coaches.
They swap those two, Young and Ashe, so they can go mid-back together as really well. Oh, the important one for Brisbane, I reckon, their midfield, who I think probably over here in the West gets underrated because he doesn't get spoken about, and the inclusion of Zach Bailey. He's very, very important to this group. What he delivers forward of centre, and he just gives, again, Brisbane's midfield something completely different with his dynamic of his footwork and his ability to break lines and got speed and get in and out of traffic. He's a gun.
Kicked 4 goals here last year against the Dockers. A 12-point loss, Fremantle getting the win that day, but did kick 4 goals, so has caused some issues in the past for them. And 2 goals in their earlier meeting this year.
The conditions out there must be okay because Michael Frederick's in the short sleeves and so too is Sonny Walters.
James Ashe. I did notice. One of the first things I look for as they run out, who's got the long sleeve on from Fremantle, and they mix it up. Today,
gives you an indication that the weather is absolutely magnificent.
Time to work on the tan today.
Exactly. Get the guns out for everybody. Alex Pearce heading across to the centre circles. We'll give you the toss details in just a moment. And a repeat from the games earlier today. Melbourne by 32 over North. Big win for Melbourne where they were coming back from. They sit in second on the ladder at the moment, and the game underway at the Docklands. Half-time there between St Kilda and Carlton. If my board will ever refresh, as these things do. It was the Saints leading at half-time. There we go, by 22 points. Toss of the coin's taken place. Which way to go, Mitch?
Alex Pearce and Lachie Neale doing the duties. Lachie Neale losing the toss with his call. Alex Pearce and the Dockers winning. Fremantle will kick to the Graham Farmer end of the ground, our left of our broadcast position.
Bridget Lacey's downstairs. Welcome, Bridge.
Thanks, Clint. What a glorious day, as you guys have mentioned. Completely perfect. Blue skies overhead, half the ground still bathed in sunlight, and the surface has come up really well, as you mentioned as well, after a bit of rugby league here in Perth yesterday. No real breeze to speak of at ground level. If anything, it's favouring that Graham Farmer Freeway end of the ground. The starting benches today for Fremantle: Sturt, O'Meara, Hughes, Frederick, with Matty Johnson the sub. And for Brisbane, Archie, McCarthy, Zorko and Pryor, with local boy Devon Robertson their sub today.
Anyone tipping against the Lions as I look around the box?
I tipped Fremantle this week.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow. Sticking with the Dockers?
Brisbane, the top 2 on the line here. I think Brisbane will get up.
Yep, Brisbane for me as well.
Lions for me, second in the comp in attack, 5th in defence versus Freo, 15th for both of those stats. But the Dockers shocked everybody last week. Can they do it again? Lachie Neale, who's going to go to him with what matters most? It's going to be a tough tag. It's Young who stands alongside him. On Grandstand AFL, let's get this started. It's the Dockers and the Lions. Here's Mitch Turner.
Underway on a Sunday afternoon. Jackson wins the tap opposed to Fort. Sarong trying to get onto it for Fremantle. Hacks the ball forward. Schultz gathers. Gave it to Walters. Now Hayden Young. Fed back to Brayshaw. Sarong has to get a quick kick inside 50. Tumbling ball. Corbett did well to trap. Tried to retreat to Henry. Missed the handball. Lions went back in but coughed it straight back to Henry. The Dockers moving their way backwards on the wing. Aish with his first involvement. Kicks towards a pack just inside the 50. Payne dropped the mark. Amos, handball to Brayshaw. Got around one. Handball to Schultz. The Dockers under pressure inside forward 50. Back to Wagner. A free kick called. And it'll go the way of the Dockers and Lockie Schultz. A high tackle around the neck. So trying to weave his way through traffic. He'll have a set shot from 40 metres out, pretty much directly in front.
Weren't afraid to flick the hands around, were they, Fremantle?
We're in for a contest if it's going to be like this. Wow-wee. Hot start.
Having another good season, Lockie Schultz. 30 goals last year, 25 so far this season. Schultz, kick is on the way. It's high, it's up, it's under, it's through. Fremantle get the opening goal inside the first 90 seconds. They take the lead. One straight 6 to Lions. Yet to score here. Sunday afternoon, Perth Stadium on Grandstand AFL. Our experts, Shane Woden and Harry Taylor.
Yeah, very important player, isn't he, Schultz?
Oh, absolutely.
He's just able to create things sometimes out of nothing, and that was a great example.
Yeah, just his work rate in that front half, what he does. He gets up the ground high, gets back, applies a lot of heat in their front half, and does finish. Generally hits the scoreboard most weeks. Important clearance. I think Dunkley might take Sarong's body at stoppage. Been in good form, Sarong, this year.
Both teams wearing black armbands today. The Dockers, because of the death in Luke Ryan's family. I'll give you the details on the Lions in a moment. From the bounce, Jackson wins it down, goes after it, can't gather. Wilmot picks it up for the Lions. Quick hand pass out. Bailey was able to move it on. They'll send it inside forward 50 through Berry. Kicking towards full forward for the Lions. Ryan has the turn, gathers in his defensive goal square. Hand pass there to run onto for Wagner, who's happy to take it over the boundary line for a throw-in. Deep into attack for the Brisbane Lions. They're heading towards the city end of Perth Stadium in this opening term. All to be spun back into play. The Dockers leading by 6 points. Opening 3 minutes. Put back in. Jackson palmed it down. McCluggage tried to gather. It's there for Danaher. He's tackled strongly to ground by the opposite 6 in Clark. Ball up the call. Mac Tolliday, a Club Life member of Brisbane, passed away on Thursday, and also Mark Lane, the father of Caelan Lane, the ruckman for the Lions, passing away. The reason there in the black armbands as Jackson won it down. Gathering it was Brayshaw. Spilled out to Bailey. Gathers, shoots on goal. He's missed the lot. He was under pressure from about 30 out, in line with the right-hand behind post. Free kick to the Dockers at right full-back. Freo by 6 points, 3.5 gone in the first on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and News Radio throughout Queensland.
Ryan's kick short to Henry was cut off by the Lions, knocked out of bounds, so...
Probably wasn't the right option, that one, hitting short to a 50-50 ball.
So it'll be a ball in 35 metres around from the Lions' goal. Haven't scored yet. Ball tossed back into play. Danaher doing the ruck work against Jackson. Danaher tried to follow up by ground level. Sarong dives in. He's taken in a tackle. Ball up.
Big job for Jordan Clark. That's a job on Charlie Cameron.
Ball goes up again. Danaher trying to get rid of Jackson. Wagner clears it for the Dockers. Outside defensive 50. Starcevic couldn't mark going back. Then Wilmot gave it to Leicester. The Lions go back inside 50. Jackson tracking back. Able to take the uncontested intercept mark. The Dockers back in the same position they were a moment ago. Can they successfully clear it now? Jackson's kick up to the wing. Andrews from behind got a hand to it, paid the mark on the juggle. Wins it back, so not a great week for Harris Andrews last week, but that's a good start today as he goes into the middle. Payne sends it inside the forward 50. Overrunning it was Dunkley. Falls to ground level. Clark bursts through the pack. Got away, gave it to Brayshaw. Now Ace, the Dockers through hands off halfback. Wagner releases wide to Young, who's got space.
Young goes down the southern wing. Gets a kick away to find Corbett. He can go back short to Young, just far enough to be a mark. Young trots back to stand on the logo. Out of sight of Perth Stadium. Gets told to play on. Takes a couple of steps. Will put it into the right forward pocket. Schultz flew at it. Front position. Unable to get there. Knocked away from Tracy. Ball's there again for Ryan. His kick was smothered. Lester spilled down to him. Tackled immediately. He's going to have a ball up inside forward 50.
I reckon Schultz spoiled his own teammate in that marking contest.
Corbett was there. Schultz flew at it. Corbett probably could have taken the mark if he hadn't. Jackson, that's a lovely touch with the ruck work. Down towards Young running by. Kicks high up in the air. It won't quite have the distance. Amos, was he being held? No, it's gone the other way. Bit of battle there between Payne, and Payne will have it in the right back pocket for the Lions. 6 gone in the opening term. Fremantle 1 straight 6. Brisbane yet to score.
Payne. Kick clears defensive 50. Jackson gets a run out. It takes the mark. Got in front of Fort. Clear run. Good start for Luke Jackson. His second mark already today. Shouldering the ruck duties in the absence of Sean Darcy. Kicks, goes into the pocket. Amos flies from the side. Takes the mark. Good work by the Fremantle forwards. Amos takes the mark. Will go back kick from 35 metres out. Slight angle to the left. His first shot of the day.
Fantastic kick. I think he just took a little bit off that, and that's what you have to do against Brisbane. They're setting themselves to fly generally from behind the ball. Just take a little bit off your kick. Drop it 35 rather than 45.
It's just quietened down a little bit after a very strong start to the season. Jai Amos, the rising star for Fremantle, comes in and narrowly misses to the left. A minus score. Fremantle 1-1-7. They lead the Lions. Yet to score. 7 minutes played here. Perth Stadium, round 21 AFL action.
Lions to bring it back into play through McKenna. The bright orange boots working today. Heads towards right half back as Starcevic marks. It's told to move it on. Will kick down the commentary wing. Land on centre wing. Danaher was behind Jackson. Got a hand to it. Spills down. It's been locked in. She underneath all that. Umpire slips over. Shadows beneath us. Ball come back for a ball up.
Pretty damp underfoot. Always is here on the interchange side.
Doesn't get as much sunlight as the other side, which is why the grow lights are always out at night time. Is trying to work it forward. O'Meara for the Dockers, and then taken over the boundary line for another throwing. Will come back here to Erasmus, who throws it back to the boundary umpire. Stands in front of the Dockers interchange gates. Freo lead by 7 points. 8 gone in the first. Saints still by 22 against Carlton. Early stages of the third in Melbourne. Putting it down was Fort. Getting it Sarong though. Gave it to Erasmus. Kicks the Dockers to left half forward. Payne was there. Good spoil coming in the side from Tracy. The Lions are able to clear. Is it out of bounds on the full? It is. Frustration for Leicester. Free kick coming the way of the Dockers. Right beneath our broadcast position on the northern wing. Young to take it. The Dockers by 7 points. 8.5 gone in the first.
Young throws it on the right boot. Inside forward 50. Corbett got to the front. Andrews able to punch it clear to Zorko. Chips back inside his own defensive 50. Finds McCluggage. So Zorko continued his run. Was able to get it back. Goes wide. Has a man in Berry. Short up the wing. Cameron couldn't mark. Good spoil by Clark. Then tackled him as well. Takes him to ground. Ball bobbles out. In congestion coming through his own mirror. Taken. Eventually in a tackle there'll be a ball up inside the centre square.
It's already had the 6, Hayden Young, on Lockie Neal. He hasn't yet to touch the ball.
Jackson goes to that man again. Young did well. Got it out wide to Henry. Took a bounce. Goes towards half forward. Payne read it best, but it spills out the back to Tracy. Running inside forward 50. Goes to the top of the square. Over the back of Frederick. McKenna. Oh, interesting looking handball. Got away with it. Ball goes out of bounds. There'll be a ball in about 5 metres around from the Dockers' goal.
Oh, you're kidding. Ump was blindsided.
Maybe got away with one there. The Lions. The Conor McKenna handball was interesting to say the least as the ball comes back into play. Fort and Jackson go at it. Coming through is Archie. His clearing kick falls safely just inside defensive 50 to Zorko, and he'll release wide again for the Lions.
Saw a few passes like McKenna's last night here at this stadium. The NRL was in town as Berry marks and plays on to McCarthy, who's up just forward of the logo, southern wing. Marks for the Lions. Stands in the bright sunshine as players stream forward. He'll go short to Berry again. Between centre wing and left half forward. McCarthy ran behind him. Received the hand pass. Kicked inside forward 50. Decent battle here. Hughes couldn't mark. Aish. Oh, his hand pass was a ride. Taken then by Cameron. Comes back to Hipwood. Again towards McCarthy. He liked it the moment it left the boot. And he kicks it from 45 out. Terrific goal for the Lions and Lincoln McCarthy. 1 point ball game. The Dockers 1-1-7. The Lions with their first of the day. They're 1 straight 6, 11 gone in the opening term. Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner, our experts Shane Woden and Harry Taylor.
McCarthy started on the bench, and I think he's just snuck on in general play. Fair chance that Freo haven't been able to match him up or work out the right matchup. He's got on the end of 3 touches, including a goal. It's sometimes just one of those nuances of our game. If you can get on there...
Appropriate time.
Yeah, at the appropriate time, you can have an impact. Really smart by Lincoln McCarthy. He's a very, very smart player.
Bridget Lacey downstairs on the boundary.
Lachie Neale's come off for his first rest, and guess who else has come off? Hayden Young.
There you go, Lachie Neale yet to have a disposal. Hayden Young, 7 already. Just over 11 minutes played here in the opening term. Danaher's in the ruck for the Lions. Jackson won it down though, coming through Wilmot. Kicks it forward. McCarthy did well against Aish, the 2 number 11s. Took the mark, played on, gave it to Danaher. Now Rayner inside 50, coughs it up. Poor handball. Henry cleaning up for Fremantle, gave it to Sarong. Now O'Meara. The Dockers streaming out of defence. O'Meara's kick was a dangerous one. Starcevic chopped it off. Wilmot's able to kick a high one back forward for the Lions, but Henry takes the intercept mark just inside the centre square. His kick was wide, went to Frederick, set him a task, had the pace but couldn't take the mark. Berry's there with him, worried him off, took possession and gave it to Rayner. Now McCluggage, it's a tough one to say sometimes, kicks it inboard, finds Zorko for the Lions. Bailey has the ball, 2 kicks from home, goes low and hard inside 50. Hipwood had to spoil from behind. Coming through Hughes. Wrapped up, ball up. 40 metres out from the Lions' goal. They trail by a point. 12 and a half played here first quarter.
Umpire puts it aloft. Jackson had the more telling tap. Bailey bursting through though. Got a hand pass back to McCarthy. Hand pass back into traffic. Taken by Henry for the Dockers. Then to Jackson. Kicks into the centre square. Coming to try to meet it was Tracy, couldn't gather. A chance for Pryor to pick it up. Lost possession of the footy. O'Meara put his head over it, tried to knock it out under the pressure of McCarthy. Came out the side to Aish. Hand pass back inside defensive 50. Pearce goes over the top of it, tackled by Archie. Umpire circles and will ball it up eventually. Inside Fremantle's forward, back 50 rather. It's the Dockers by a point, 13 gone in the first.
Jackson to do the ruck work opposed to Josh Dunkley this time. Sarong took the tap, taking a tackle. Josh Dunkley doing a bit of ruck work. Saw that back in his premiership year at the Bulldogs in 2016 before he made the move. Ball goes up again. Jackson just tunnelled in the ruck by Rayner, wins the free kick. So Dunkley and Rayner taking the last 2 ruck contests for the Lions. An interesting tactic opposed to Luke Jackson as Ethan Hughes has the ball just outside left half back. As an option short up the wing, Erasmus. The Dockers happy just to go a little slower here. Erasmus now runs around, plays on, kicks up the wing. Danaher just worked Tracy out of it.
That's the one they've got to avoid.
Yeah.
They can't just kick that long down the line. They're outnumbered against very, very good marks of the footy.
So Danaher sends the ball back to half forward. At the back, Gunston couldn't mark. Ryan had a fumble. Archie overran the ball. Now Erasmus gets it for Fremantle, gives it to Brayshaw, but he's taken straight away. And the Neale McCluggage tackle will be a ball up 55 metres out from the Lions' attacking goal.
Saints lead remains 22 points at the Docklands against the Blues. 9 minutes gone in the third. Umpire spotted a free kick. The Dockers will take the advantage. Sarong through to Brayshaw. All dangerous hand pass back to O'Meara. McCarthy got him holding the ball. It jars out to Neale. Gives it to McCluggage. Puts the Lions into the right forward pocket. And marking there, Charlie Cameron. About a metre in from the boundary. It's going to be a tight angle on goal, but he'll be kicking from about 40 out.
It was Erasmus' handball, which was a poor execution, hit the ground, didn't give Brayshaw any time, which then forced the turnover.
Deep breath from Charlie Cameron. A set snap around the body. He misses narrow to the right-hand side. Scores are level. 16 gone in the first. 1-1-7 apiece between the Dockers and the Lions.
So the Dockers again will have to try and bring the ball back out of their defensive half. Ryan kicks it deep outside defensive 50. Had Cox on his own. Now Erasmus. How will he use this handball? A better one. Up the wing to Sarong. Inboard to Walters. Has the run of Brayshaw. Kicks it over the top. Tracy has to go back with the fly. Took the mark. The umpire paid a terrific effort by Josh Tracy. He's just inside the 50, the man on the mark, but he can go the journey, Josh Tracy.
That's the blueprint. Handball, handball. Make the defence of Brisbane feel a little bit uneasy. Short kick, great mark.
Didn't kick a goal last week, Josh Tracy. Starting to come into his own, the 21-year-old. Will have to kick just outside 50. It's a booming kick. It's a massive kick. It's a goal. The Fremantle fans tell the story. Josh Tracy with a bomb from outside 50. The Dockers get their second. They retake the lead. 2-1-13. They lead the Lions 1-1-7. 16 and a half minutes played here. Grandstand AFL round 21 action from Perth Stadium.
Oh, it was a great run and overlap by Brayshaw, wasn't it? He works really hard, but Starcevic just had to be better there in that contest. Had to get at the ground. Had every right to go smash into Tracy. Didn't eventuate. Good finish.
The handball kick ratio and play on percentage would be the two key stats that I think the Freo coaches should be really trying to focus on.
What a blow. Amazing goal. Thumping kick. Every sense of the word. He's in the middle again. Winning it down for the Dockers. Hacked forward though. Wilmot got to it. Sent it towards right half forward. Wagner got harassed out of it. Free kick though. Pushing the back. Against the Lions. Wagner will get it at left half back. Those against Archie.
He's a bit aggressive on that one, wasn't he? Been good, Wagner, since he's come back in. Second stint back at it this year. Give him a bit of drive and pop off half back.
And 25 for him today. Sixth game of the season. Goes on a little run inboard and then kicks towards left half forward. 2-on-2 battle here. Payne wins it down, spills to Neal for the Lions. Hand pass comes to Berry. Getting a kick away Pryor up in the air. Trying to come out to it. Hipwood couldn't get there. Spilled out again. Pryor, strong tackle on Switkowski. Ball jar free. Came out towards Schultz, tried to get a hand pass back, bobbled up, he tried to gather it again. Umpire spots a throw. They pick one out this time. The Dockers take the advantage. It comes to Henry, kicks inside forward 50 and stretching Frederick Marks. 49 from goal. He'll put boot to ball in line with the left hand behind post, looking to kick Freo's third.
Yeah, took advantage of the free kick. The speed's worrying Brisbane. Speed of ball, foot speed also.
Michael Frederick, 21-10 for the season. He's on his way in. Kicks from just outside 50. Not a bad looking kick, but it just misses left. A minor score. 2-2-14 the Dockers. 1-1-7 the Lions. 19 gone in the first. Grandstand AFL. The Saints lead by 21 at the Docklands over the Blues. 14 minutes into the third there.
Tough kick for Frederick, but he likes him a little tougher, clearly, after last week's effort as Jasper Fletcher does a bit of sharp footwork out of the full back line, kicks it towards the wing for the Lions. Rayner, strong mark in front, wants to move it quickly, has Cameron further up the wing. Still too far out to score, kicks a low, drilling, hard ball. Archie dropped what he should have taken, then had to dribble towards goal. It's bouncing. It hits the post. Made it harder for himself, Callum Archie. Couldn't maximise. 1-2-8 the Lions after the minor score. 2-2-14 the Dockers. 6-point margin. The way of the home side. 20 minutes played, approaching time on in the first.
If you've just joined us, the subs, Johnson for the Dockers, Robertson for the Lions. The kick in. Dockers head towards left half back. Spills down off hands to Henry, to Brayshaw for Fremantle. Now to Young. And a little bit of space to work with at left half back. The kicks towards the logo, centre wing. Picking it up, Walters. Running by Switkowski. Gathers. Not a great kick. He was heading towards left half forward. Wanted O'Meara instead. The bigger frame of Andrews in front of him, and he takes the defensive mark for the Lions. And he'll kick short back in the direction of Hipwood, who marks it right half back for Brisbane, who trail by 6.
Giant miss.
Yep. All
Amos,
on his own.
Amos.
Just didn't see him inside 50. He wasn't happy either as Pryor for the Lions switches the play across to Leicester. Short to Starcevic. One of the few West Australians out there today for Brisbane, making the return home, hoping to take the points back to Queenslanders. McCluggage has the ball, is able to play on and drive it into the pocket. McCarthy from the front, couldn't take the mark. Cameron Crumbs put it in the path of Archie, couldn't gather, and takes Ryan high clumsily. The Dockers have it back and move it quickly. Aish out to the wing. O'Meara did well to get rid of Pryor, but couldn't take clean possession. Ball goes out of bounds. On the wing will be a ball in. Callum Archie's just had a few moments where he's had a bit of a fumble. So we have a ball in on the wing again.
Carlton have cut the margin. They trail by just 14 points now. 16 gone in the third against the Saints at the Docklands as Switkowski brings the ball away from the stoppage. Hand passes to Brayshaw. Hand pass gathered on the bounce by Young. It's a shocking kick. Wanted Frederick. Said just found an opponent in Wilmot. Gathers and got a bump after he got the kick away. The Lions will take the free and they'll take the advantage. Neil's kick wasn't great either towards right half forward. Aish got in the way. Switkowski provided the shepherd. Aish back to Sarong for the Dockers. Hand pass at the bootstraps of Erasmus. Under pressure from Rayner. Hand pass back again to Cox. Surrounded by Lions. Zorko got him. Got a hand pass free though. On to Aish. Up against the boundary. Kicked around the body more in hope than anything else. Bailey will merge with it. Kicks again up into the air in the right forward pocket. Cameron flies. Use Cox as the step ladder and he takes the mark in the right forward pocket.
Wasn't a great spectacle that 30 seconds, was it?
No, a few errors there.
Few errors.
Back to back.
Unlike Hayden Young to miss that 45 inside. Turns over, his opponent gets the footy on the turnover.
He's at a better angle than he was a short time ago, Charlie Cameron. He'll go with the set snap again from the right forward pocket. And once more, he's gone narrow. Missing to the right-hand side.
Almost identical.
Was 1-3-9 Brisbane, 2-2-14 the Dockers, 23 gone in the first.
Ryan's kick was perfect into the path of Wagner. He could play on and go straight to the wing to Walters. The Dockers want to move it quick, just had to wait for a moment before Sturt presented. Standing in the middle of the logo, centre wing. Waiting for numbers to present up forward. Has a lead from Hayden Young. Couldn't get it to him on the full. Ball bounced over his head. Walters comes in, tackled out of bounds. Ball in, 55-60 around from the Dockers goal.
He's challenging Lockie Neal. Hayden Young working offensive. Up to the 10 disposals.
I think Joel Corey might be winning that coach's battle at the moment.
So Hayden Young released into that midfield role again. Jackson and Fort do battle. Coming through at ground level was Bailey. Went without it. Diving back into the Lions. Taken in a tackle. Laying on the ball. The umpire suit for a long, long time. Eventually called it a ball up. 60 metres out. Jackson and Fort again. Fort taps it down. The Lions able to clear through McKenna. Kick to the wing. Hipwood and Pearce. Pearce got the tap away. Followed up his work. Then Hipwood dived back in on top, made the tackle. Pearce had a fumble. Rayner bounced off an opponent, got to his feet. Brilliant. Kick towards half forwards, perfect. Danaher has it. He's 60 from home. We know he's a long kick. Long to the goal square. Cameron, Ryan, one-on-one. Ryan wins out. Cameron just allows him to step over, rush the behind. So the margin is cut back slightly to 4 points. 1-4-10 the Lions, 2-2-14 the Dockers. 25 minutes played. Opening quarter here, Grandstand AFL.
Ryan takes a step and sends it towards left half back. Pryor got hands to it. Spills down in the direction of Sarong. Was able to get boot to ball. Bobbles it towards the wing. Scooped up there beautifully by Amos. Kicks towards left half forward. Sturt couldn't mark. Up against McKenna. Had time to gather. Gave it to Switkowski under immediate pressure by Wilmot. Punched it forward cleverly. On to Schultz. Kicks inside forward 50 and only finds a line in Fletcher between fullback and centre half back. In the right spot for the Lions, and he kicks from the sunshine into the shade at right half back, and flying and unable to get there was Dunkley. Off hands though and over for a boundary throw-in. Left half forward for the Dockers. Closing stages, opening term here at Perth Stadium. Fremantle 2-2-14. Brisbane a 1-4-10. Clint Wilden in commentary alongside this man, Mitch Turner.
Ball tossed back into play. Shallow throw-in beat both ruckmen. Switkowski was able to gather for the Dockers. Erasmus. Fancy footwork as he got the kick to half forward. Frederick couldn't mark. The Lions dive in. Fletcher, Lester, and eventually Sturt for the Dockers is wrapped up. Ball up right on the 50, directly in front of the Fremantle goal. Jackson over the top, looking for a temper. Oh, Sarong was crunched in a tackle. Fell back the way of the Lions. They're able to clear the ball to Gunston on the wing. Big hit. The Sarong tackle, but he bounced up as Gunston goes up the wing to Berry. Right in front to the interchange gates. The Lions trailing by 4. Getting deeper into time on in this first quarter. Rayner called to play on now. Kicks towards half forward. Danaher flew at the back, couldn't mark. Coming through was Fort. Gave it back to Danaher. Shrugged the first tackle. Got a handball away. The umpire said you took too long. He's not happy, but the decision's been made and it won't be changed. Holding the ball, Luke Jackson gets the win and has the ball at left half back. The Dockers leading. Haven't won an opening quarter since round 16 against the Saints.
They can taste, for whatever it's worth, their third opening term win of the year. They lead by 4. Dying stages of the first quarter. Kick from Fremantle, goes in the direction of Corbett. He flew on centre wing, comes down to Young, crunched in a tackle by Zorko. Not into his back, he turned as he took him to ground. Ball up the call, right on the logo, centre wing, commentary sign. Umpire puts it aloft. One down by Fort, trying to get a hand pass out here was Dunkley. Knocked forward by Berry of the Lions. He hands it quickly to Neal, and then he'll bounce it towards the boundary line. The umpire will say that's insufficient intent. There you go. Lachie Neal, the free against him. Taken by Wagner. Kicks towards left half forward for Fremantle. Payne got a hand to it. Spilled out to Erasmus. Tackled the moment he received the football. Locked in there by Zorko. The Dockers have won their third opening term of the year. 2-2-14 Fremantle. 1-4-10 Brisbane. The goal kickers for the Dockers. Tracy with a booming goal from outside 50, and Lockie Schultz, who opened their account, while for the Lions, Lincoln McCarthy finished off a terrific move. He's their only goal kicker of the game so far. 2-2-14 the Dockers, 1-4-10 Brisbane. At the Docklands, the Saints, their lead is now cut to 8 points, 22 gone in the third. 8-2-50 to Carlton, 6-6-42. And earlier today, a win for the Demons by 32 points, 15-13 to North Melbourne's 10-10. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, News Radio, and now, of course, streaming on the ABC Listen app, this is Grandstand AFL.
What's your favourite Aussie animal sound? Are you mad for magpies? Keen on the koala? Do you like to wallow in whale song? Or maybe you're Team Tree Frog? How about whatever it is that lyrebirds do when they're actually being lyrebirds? To celebrate National Science Week, the ABC is looking and listening for Australia's favourite animal noise. Find out more at abc.net.au/sound.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
McCarthy ran behind him, received the hand pass, kicked inside forward 50. Decent battle here. Hughes couldn't mark Aish. His hand pass was a ride, taken then by Cameron. Comes back to Hipwood, again towards McCarthy. He liked it the moment it left the boot. And he kicks it from 45 out. Terrific goal for the Lions.
Inboard to Walters. Has the run of Brayshaw. Kicks it over the top. Tracy has to go back to the fly. took the mark. The umpire paid a terrific effort by Josh Tracy, the 21-year-old. Will have to kick just outside 50. It's a booming kick. It's a massive kick. It's a goal. The Fremantle fans tell the story. Josh Tracy with a bomb from outside 50.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Clint Wilden with you at Perth Stadium alongside Mitch Turner, with the Dockers leading by 4 points over the Lions. Let's find out what our experts have made of it. Dual Premiership cat Harry Taylor and Brownlow medalist Shane Woden on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, pretty fierce start, Wally, wasn't it, from both sides? We talked about Young and Neil, rightfully so. We knew it was going to have a big bearing on the game today. We've got Hayden Young with 10 touches, 196 metres gained. Lachie Neale at this point with 4 and only 48 metres gained. So that's a significant win for Freo at this stage. The other one for me that jumps off the page is Dunkley, just the one at this point.
Yep.
What can they do to inject him into the game? How can he get a bit more involved?
He's going to Sarong a bit at stoppage, so a bigger body maybe than Sarong, but on the spread and on the outside, Sarong will get him at times too. But you're right, you've got to influence yourself, probably more so around your tackle and the pressure if you're not touching offensively, are you? So somehow keep involved in the game. Sort of an arm wrestle quarter really for mine. Ebbed and flowed a little bit, who had momentum. Brisbane went into control mode a little bit there with their uncontested marks. But very even on the scoreboard right now. It's just about taking your opportunities when you're inside 50. I thought their front half skill level at times, Fremantle, when they were out, probably hurt them. So whether or not that's skill or decision, it's a bit of both really. Had opportunities and either missed it or didn't see it, where they could have gone in and had another shot on goal. But likewise at the other end. But you're right, as you said at the start, Harry, the handball to kick ratio was 2-1 for Brisbane right now, where Freo are more 1-1, flicking the hands on a bit more.
I think that's the way you have to play against Brisbane, or particularly against a defence who are very proactive, like to read the ball, they like to sort of intercept mark. If you can handball the ball a little bit more, if you can sort of shift it off the line, what we've spoken about, it makes it hard to get your feet set, get your position set to be able to take those intercept marks. So I've liked the times that I've seen from Fremantle in terms of their ball movement, but we know that this Brisbane team is a pretty good one, and they will find a way to really sort of start to generate a few more inside 50s and some scores.
Yeah, they look dangerous, Freo, when they get forward to centre. Like, they seem to have numbers out the back, and they put speed on the ball and do go, as you said, and link up through handball chain. There are options out there, but if they're not able to execute that, that's going to be a bit of a downfall for them.
Just some of the numbers for the first quarter there. The individuals disposal getters, as mentioned by Shane and Harry. Hayden Young with 10 disposals for the Dockers, leads all comers on the ground. Sarong and Brayshaw with 9. Liam Henry and Neil Erasmus with 8 apiece as well. For the Lions, Jared Berry with 9. Zach Bailey with 8. Darcy Wilmot 7. And then Rayner McCarthy. Cameron and McCluggage all with 5. The Dockers leading the disposal count 97 to 79. The inside 50 count, though, going the way of the Lions, 13 to 9 in that quarter. The clearance count, Fremantle will be happy with that, winning 10 to 8. So some of the key numbers going either way in that first quarter, but the one that matters most, the Dockers, 2-2-14, leading the Lions 1-4-10 as we approach the start of the second quarter.
Much joy on the text line if you want to get involved. 0437 774 774. Woohoo, we won a first quarter. Says frustrated Fremantle supporter. You're up by 4. Now, the stats are not good for Fremantle when they've won first terms, are they,
do you want to tell them, Clint? Or do
No, you told me, so you can tell our listeners.
Well, they've won the first quarter on 3 occasions this season previous, and they've lost all 3 games, so not great.
Lions fans listening across Queensland News Radio can take some joy from that. It's the Saints by 8, dying stages of the third term against the Blues at the Docklands. Fremantle take a 4-point advantage into the second term that's underway now as Fort takes possession from the restart. It's a kick towards right half Fort. McCarthy tried to gather, couldn't do so. Coming through Archie, well tackled. Young was over the top of the football. Eventually the umpire will ball it up.
So it's dropping the ball. It's a good tackle by Young. He was out, Archie.
Throwing it off. Jackson at the back. Won it down against Fort. Neil out after it. Can't gather. Walters can. Might have been taken high by Neil. Umpire lurks and says no, we'll ball it up. Got away with that one. Certainly around the shoulder from Lachie Neal. Fort palms it down. Trying to get out through was Sarong. Can't do so. Again, it's hotly contested ball on the outer side of the ground. Umpire will ball it up again. Young tackling. This time Dunkley the player that he's got hold of. Thrown up in the air. Jackson wins it down. Comes to Hughes. Runs straight at Dunkley and McCarthy. And they wrap him up and take him to ground. So we haven't gone anywhere apart from being on the outer side of the ground. Freo still by 4 points, opening 60 seconds of the second term.
So an arm wrestle to start this quarter. Young able to feed the ball to Henry for the Dockers. Dangerous kick across his defensive 50-metre arc. But O'Meara did well, took the mark, then got tangled with a couple of Lions, but was able to get up, give it to Brayshaw, who feeds the ball to Cox.
Great run.
O'Meara got up quickly, continued his run, gathered the ball on the wing and kicks up to Frederick. Frederick looking inside the forward 50. So look, kick and a half from home. Sets it up inside the forward 50, flying from the side was Corbett. Schultz roves it, trying to get a handball out. Can't. He was taken tightly. It'll be a ball up in the forward pocket for the Dockers. It's 25 metres out. Fort taps it though. Switkowski sharks it, slammed into the turf. It'll be another ball up in pretty much the same spot. Very tight in that right forward pocket. City end for the Dockers. Jackson got a running start, tapped it down. Young coming through again, trying to just bully his way through the pack. Couldn't. Free kick was paid. Going the way of the Lions in the back pocket, they'll win it back. And they'll be able to rebound outside defensive 50 through Jared Berry.
He decides to go short to Zorko. Zorko will switch play towards the outer side of the ground. The kick had to be precise to find Andrews with Amos in the vicinity. Andrews beyond defensive 50. Towards right half back to McCarthy. Kicks long and over the top for Archie to run onto. Gathers at pace. Quick hand pass inboard. McCluggage into the right forward pocket and marking Gunston.
Dane Zorko for me. Twice in the first quarter, he wants to shift the footy and switch it and get the other side of the ground. That time they're deep inside their defensive 50. It opens them up and they get a chance to score.
And it was a risky kick too. He had to be precise because Amos was right there. He missed by 30 centimetres, turned over, go back over your head. In the meantime, they're going to have a shot at goal, the Lions. Coming in Gunston from 40 metres out, deep in the right forward pocket. He kicks the goal to put Brisbane in front. Enterprising play down the southern wing results in a major for Brisbane. 2-4-16 the Lions, 2-2-14 the Dockers. Nearly 4 gone in the second term on Grandstand AFL. Our experts Shane Woden and Harry Taylor.
It's a great point, Wowie. He could have easily just gone back, kicked it down the line, Brisbane. They've taken a bit of a risk. They've switched the ball. Andrews sort of takes one forward and then suddenly the whole field opens up.
And they get out in the open. He's an elite kick, Dane Zorko. Off one step, he'll just pull the trigger and go.
So the Lions retake the lead. 4 minutes played, second quarter here at Perth Stadium. So the ball goes back up in the middle. 4. Able to get the tap down to Neal. Had Young for company, taken straight away.
Josh Dunkley made a point after last week's game that no one laid any skin on Lachie Neal's opponent. Same again today.
So Neal again was taken then, was able to get the handball out. Then Brayshaw taken in a tackle, hacked off the ground by Aish. Walters pushed his man off it, diving back in is Starcevic. Has 2 Dockers to contend with, and it's a ball up 55 metres out, directly in front of Fremantle's goal. Jackson taps it down. Sarong tries to shark it, got an interesting kick off the ground. Then Berry's kick was just as much the same, was able to win it back. Handballed into the path of Leicester. Now Pryor coming out of defence, kicks to the wing. Pearce feed Danaher. Danaher takes the mark, but no. The umpire's paid the push. For a moment I thought he signalled the mark. With the hands extended, push in the back. Alex Pearce will win the free kick. Right on the wing and the Dockers will have it back.
Wasn't a big push, was it, H?
Trailing by 2 points.
Pearce has it for Fremantle. Kicks towards right half forward. Andrews leapt, punched it down in a pack, only as far as O'Meara to Walters. Tried to hand pass along the boundary line, and fortunately, perhaps for him, it's gone out because Zorko was able to drag it in right-handed and looked to be going away with it. Ball in the call between centre wing and right half forward for Freo. Spun back into play. Jackson takes front position. Foot tried to come in from the side. Might have got the telling touch. Came down towards Neil. Young's got him. Ball spilled out. Berry with a hand pass for the Lions. Met by Wagner. Couldn't take it cleanly. Berry goes again on the logo. Wagner wraps him up. Ball up the court. 6 gone second term. Lions lead by 2. Early stages of the final term at the Docklands. The Saints are up by 8 points over the Blues there. As Freo get the clearance. Sarong kicking towards right half forward. It's bounced just in the field of play. Will be a throw-in about 60 out from their attacking goal at right half forward.
So if you're just joining us, the Dockers led by 4 points at quarter time, but Jack Gunston giving the Lions back the lead in this second quarter as the ball's back into play. Neil trying to get out of traffic. Sarong had him, was able to get the handball to Fort. Looking for Zorko. Wagner did well. Oh, Erasmus rode the bump, got back to his feet, taken in a tackle the second time. That'll be holding the ball. It is. Zorko wasn't going to let him go the second time. The Lions win the ball back. Zorko's kick to the wing. Young did well to get back and make a contest. Will put the spoil on Berry. Then his handball's a loopy one. Couldn't find McKenna. Erasmus into Sarong. Hospital handball to Tracy. Slammed to ground. Leicester had him. It's not pretty football at the moment, but it is intense as there's a bit of push and shove around the contest.
Great spoil by Young, wasn't it?
Fought this time in the ruck, tapped it down, followed up his own work, couldn't get a handball clear. Crowd wanted ball. Umpire was happy to give him the benefit of the doubt and have another ball up right on centre wing in front of the 2 benches. It's Jackson this time taps it down. Dunkley takes it for the Lions, gave it to Bailey, tight on the boundary line. Kicked it to Rayner, ball bounced, bobbled off his hands, goes out of bounds. The Lions just gaining slight territory. There's still 2 kicks from home as the ball will get tossed back in.
Perfect conditions for football. 21 degrees, still bright blue skies. Half the ground in shade at the moment here at Perth Stadium from the throw-in. Fort takes clean possession, kicks the Lions inside forward 50. Pearce at the back of the contest couldn't mark. Clark goes to mop up for the Dockers and finds Henry on his own in the left back pocket. Great vision, great kick. Liam Henry. It's the bright orange boots on. Questions about his future with Fremantle, but continues to impress in recent weeks. He goes short to Ryan. Luke Ryan thought about going long down the line and now will do so. It's a long kick with the right boot. High towards centre wing, out of side. Big pack up, no mark taken. Going to burst through Dunkley. Got it back to Payne. From the logo again, kicks high up in the air towards right half forward. Henry couldn't mark. Zorko looked to tap it forward. McCarthy coming the other way. Gathers, got tackled magnificently. Luke Ryan got him. That's holding the ball. There's a bit of afters here too. He was less than impressed there, McCarthy. Ryan, though, made sure he was wrapped up and he goes short with the pass to Sarong.
So Sarong plays on, wants to make a dangerous kick into the middle. It was a good one to O'Meara, almost fed the hands to the run of Wagner, chose not to. Instead goes short to Clark. He has a man loose on the wing in Ethan Hughes. Hughes kick short up the line to Erasmus. The Dockers just doing it in short kicks at the moment. Plenty of numbers in front of Neil Erasmus as he kicks inside the forward 50, flying from behind. Tracy couldn't mark. Clever tap from Zorko. Sturt, though, was able to gather, give it to Sarong. His handball, a throw. Wasn't legal, deemed the umpire. Just couldn't get the second hand through. It'll be a free kick to the Lions. Ryan Lester at half-back. Goes short to Lockie, nearly takes the mark. It's one of his easiest possessions he'll find today. As his 8-metre kick has paid a mark to Jasper Fletcher. The Lions happy to retreat again back into defence. Lester goes to Payne. His kick now across the ground, a dangerous one. Starcevic had to be strong, and he was. Took the mark opposed to Schultz and goes inboard to Wilmot.
Wilmot by a hand for the Lions. Looks to come back inboard. Pryor just got a hand pass away before Henry got him. Found Wilmot again and then kicks to McCluggage forward of the wing. In the bright sunshine for Brisbane, sends it towards McCarthy, marking it right half forward, about a metre in from the boundary. He's 2 kicks from goal. Plenty of options. Lead came from Danaher. It's the direction it goes in the right forward pocket. Brennan Cox is up and thumping it over the boundary line for a throw-in. 25 out from Brisbane's attacking goal. They're heading to the Farmer Freeway end in this quarter, the left of our broadcast position. They lead by 2 points over the Dockers, Brisbane. 11 gone in the second.
Ball tossed back in. Danaher and Jackson. Jackson got the palm down, then did very well to follow up his work. Gave it to Henry. His handball knocked, but fell the way of Wagner for the Dockers. Showed a clean pair of heels, gone away. Kicks it to the wing, going back, Corbett. Great mark. Harris Andrews. That's why he's one of the premier defenders in the competition. The crowd wanted a free kick, but it's terrific work by Harris Andrews. His kick short to Starcevic. Now back to Andrews on centre wing.
Play between the arcs this first half of this second term.
A lot of numbers behind the ball. Andrews eventually has to set up a high one to half forward. Beats the entire pack. McCarthy gets at the back. Gives it to Zach Bailey. He's dangerous. He's on a tight angle. Kicks towards goal. Jackson getting back. Able to knock it through for a rush behind. 2-5-17 the Lions. 2-2-14 the Dockers. 12 minutes played. Second quarter here on Grandstand AFL.
It's a 1-point ball game at the Docklands in Melbourne. In fact, now scores level. The Blues 7-9-51 to the Saints 8-3-51. 6 gone in the final term as the Dockers move it beyond their defensive 50 to a pack at right half back. Andrews up, getting a hand to it and seeing it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Becoming a high stoppage game, isn't it, Wally?
Certainly is.
Subs, if you've just joined us, Johnson for Fremantle, Robertson for Brisbane, neither activated so far. Ball put back into play. Winning it down was Tracy. Got it only as far, though, as Fletcher. Kicked inside forward 50. Socked towards goal here by the Lions. Bounces towards the boundary line and tumbles over from Zorko's kick off the ground. It's going to be a throw in. About a metre to the left of the left-hand behind post. The Lions lead by 3 points. 13 gone in the second term. Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium. ABC Radio, Sport Digital News Radio and the ABC Listen app.
Ball tossed back in. Danaher sharked the shallow throw. Clark did well. Got it to Wagner. Back to Clark. High kick outside defensive 50. Running back. Lockie Schultz took the mark like an outfielder in the cricket. The crowd loved that. Then played on to Brayshaw. His kick up the line. Finds the lead of Amos.
Had no right to mark that.
That was just terrific, wasn't it? Had to track it back like a fly ball in baseball. Terrific mark under pressure as O'Meara kicks it up the wing. Walters marks still just forward of centre wing. Too far out to score the Dockers. His kick towards half forward never gave his teammates a chance, and Payne's able to cut it off the line. So Brisbane with a 3-point lead and the ball at right half back is a bit of a stalemate in this contest here at Perth Stadium.
The Lions kick towards the outer wing. Oh, big fly, Archie, from the side. Great mark. Umpire worried me for a moment. He pointed the wrong way. I was like, have I missed a free kick? No, it's a terrific grab to Archie. Goal to Paddy Dowers, put the Blues in front at the Docklands over the Saints. 8 gone in the last. Brisbane kick towards right half forward. Fort has it. Told to play on. Hand pass intercepted. Came towards Cox and then Aish. Back towards centre wing. Lester Marks has it for the line. Short to Rayner. Rayner moves it in towards the centre square. Hipwood gathers on the run. Thumping kick towards full forward. Danaher! Strong at the back against Pearce. Used his body and took the grab. Will go back and kick from 20 out, almost right in front.
Great kick. Hipwood hasn't had a big day yet, but fantastic entry there. Forwards kicking to forwards generally ends up in good things.
Can't get inside 50 this quarter, Fremantle. falling down across half forward.
Big Joe, 43-29 for the season, kicks the goal. He didn't miss from short range. And the Lions extend their lead to 9 points at the 16-minute mark of the second term. 3-5-23. The Dockers are 2-2-14 on Grandstand AFL. Our experts Shane Woden and Harry Taylor.
Been able to delay Fremantle this quarter with their ball movement. Slowed them right down, held them up, kick mark. Haven't been able to chain it through the arcs at the moment.
No, that handball to kick ratio starting to get a little bit out of favour, I think. A few more kicks at the moment than the handballs. They need to keep taking the game on.
Yeah, they do.
It's coming off a career best game, Alex Pearce, the Dockers skipper, but Joe Danaher just starting to get on top of the Fremantle defenders. Lead now 9 points. It's Tracy and Fort go at it in the ruck. Fort won it down to Neil. Able to spin turn, goes back in the Danaher direction. Big pack, crunching players everywhere. Clark won it for Fremantle, got a handball and a free kick, but advantage is paid to Henry. Frederick has the run of Young coming past. We know he's normally good by foot. Kick inside 50. Payne pushed him out. The free kick will go the way of Sam Sturr. We'll have a set shot 50 or about 45 metres out directly in front as we wait for the replay to get the thoughts of Shane Woden and Harry Taylor.
Didn't need to do it. He'd cooked the kick.
Yep.
James A's outstanding across half back. He threw himself into an uncomfortable position there.
Sam Sturr fought his way back into this Dockers side, shows so much talent, so much promise. And on this occasion, he delivers. He gets his first of the day. The Dockers get their first of the second quarter. They answer back to Brisbane's 2 goals. They pull the margin back ever so slightly to 3 points. 3-2-20 Fremantle, 3-5-23. Brownlow medalist Shane Woden, dual premiership cat Harry Taylor.
Yeah, I loved it how Liam Henry took the game on. Had the advantage, yes, but hit through the corridor. And the fact that they gave that handball too. He'd gone past Hayden Young, but at least they still flicked it to get through and be able to hit up through half forward.
You mentioned earlier around Dunkley and those comments about how he could potentially help or his teammates could help get Neil in the game. I think this is the time.
Yeah.
Dunkley needs to inject himself here by potentially putting a bit of effort into Young.
Freo chant rings around Perth Stadium. Jackson wins the tap for the restart. Spills down to Switkowski. He's been tackled, taken to ground. Neil on one side, Dunkley on the other. The restart, Fort palmed it down. Jackson gathers, got the arms free, did that well. Found Henry for the Dockers. Hand pass almost into trouble. Wagner, quick hands. Found Jackson again on centre wing. Wobbles a kick that bounces towards right half forward. Sliding to ground, Corbett. Switkowski hit it at pace. Under pressure, not a great kick. Bounces inside forward 50, off the hands of Fort. Schultz tried to work it forward quickly to Frederick. Going up, Sturt. He's been tackled by McKenna. A ball up the call. Dockers fans like what they're seeing as their team fights back. Jackson against Fortnite with a telling tap. Fletcher over the football. It's going to be trapped in here. Walters got him one way, Jackson the other. Ball up deep inside forward 50 for Freo. The Lions by 3 points, 19 gone in the second.
Jackson and Ford go again. Jackson got it down, but straight to his opposing ruckman in Ford. His kick, clearing defensive 50. The Dockers win it back. Aish kicks on the outside of the boot. Walters couldn't quite get there in time. Now Jackson gets a handball out to Frederick. Has time, has space, throws it on the left. And kicks truly. The Dockers back in front. 2 goals in a row. Frederick gets his first. Just like that, bang, bang, the Dockers back on top. 3-point margin, 4-2-26 Fremantle, 3-5-23 the Lions. 20 minutes played, entering time on second quarter here at Perth Stadium.
Great forward pressure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just kept the ball alive, crashed in. I think Freo benefited from Fort doing a really long stint in the ruck. Tracy and Jackson have both been able to rotate. Fort's been there himself. He's just come to the bench now, so Danaher's gone in, but there's little errors. Fort just lost his foot.
Yep.
Fell over at a crucial time. Little errors like that generally associated with fatigue. It'll be interesting to see how this game plays out in the second half based on how contested and how stoppage dominant it's been in this quarter.
Bounce to restart. Danaher in the ruck now. Comes out for the Lions. McCluggage gave it to Neal. Got some space here and then moves it forward to Rayner. And a metre in from the outer edge of the centre square. Kicks into the sunshine at right half forward. McCarthy marks. 75 from goal. Takes a step back and spears the pass. Inside forward 50. Frederick, the goal kicker's there. He was looking for Gunston. Just found Frederick, who moves it beyond defensive 50 to Hughes. Ethan Hughes has to shield his eyes from the setting sun as he looks towards the city end of the ground. He's standing on the arc of 50 at left half back. Kicks towards the outer wing. Amos flew, couldn't get there. Spoil came at the back from Andrews. Spilled down though to Young. Beautiful kick onto the run. Walters gathers, kicks quickly in the direction of Corbett. Spoiled by Leicester to ground. Corbett looks to tap it to Schultz. Couldn't get there. Tries again, Corbett. Picked up by the Lions. They've done well. And getting rid of it, McKenna kicks towards right half back, but he turns it over. The opposite 26 in Young gathers. Gives it to Walters, 51 from goal. And he finds Jackson, who marks. 40 out from goal. Better than a 45-degree angle to the left. And Luke Jackson can go back and have a shot to give the Dockers their fifth if he kicks truly.
He's hurting them by foot, Hayden Young, between the arcs, isn't he? And his efficiency and just finding those targets. I thought Corbett then could have been a bit aggressive on his opponent.
Yep. It's certainly a learning there.
Yeah.
You've got the opportunity. If your opponent is rushing back towards you, you can be quite physical.
Check him, yep.
Pause to Schultz as he makes his way off the ground. As Jackson, his boots cross the arc of 50. Kicks on its way for Fremantle. He raises both fists in the air to celebrate. His first of the day. The Dockers have got their fifth. 5-2-32. Brisbane 3-5-23. 22 and a bit gone in the second term on Grandstand AFL at Perth Stadium. Update at the Docklands. 17 gone in the last there. The Blues still lead by 6 points. Carlton 8-11. No, they've just kicked another one, the Blues. 9-11-65 to St Kilda's 8-5-53. Carlton now by 12. A goal, the first of the day to Charlie Curnow. 17 gone in the last there.
Good answer by Fremantle. Brisbane was just starting to get on top there. The momentum had shifted. A great response. Kicked the last couple. Been good, Jackson.
Just small things. Walters going on his right boot when you always think he's going left. Ball back in the middle. Sarong gave it to Brayshaw in space. 55 from home. Kicks towards goal. Going back. Corbett. This time he got away from his man. Took the mark. The Dockers out of the middle. Luke Jackson, Sarong, Brayshaw. There's the future. Josh Corbett gets a chance to go back and kick his first goal of the day. 2 goals last week. His first 2 for the club.
Great hands by Jackson. Good craft.
Been terrific, hasn't he?
Been very good.
21 hit-outs, 10 touches, and a goal.
They say he could be the nicest man in football, Josh Corbett, but he's not going to be friendly to the Lions here, is he? Yes, he is. He lets them off. He puts it straight through the behind. So a minus score. The Dockers extend their lead slightly. 5-3-33. Brisbane 3-5-23. 24 minutes gone.
No prizes for being polite here.
No.
Wilmot goes short to Berry. Has it in the right back pocket for the Lions. Kicks to a pack out of side. Rayner got away from his opponents, leapt in the air and took the mark. He's got it for Brisbane in the shadows. Sends it back inside defensive 50. Andrews had to gather on the bounce. Under pressure from Walters. Just got a kick away. Hard up against the boundary. Good pressure being applied here as Leicester marks again. Hard up against the boundary. From right half back, he'll go down the wing. Flying from the side, Ryan got hands to it using Rayner as the step ladder. It's over the boundary line for a throw-in. 10 points the margin in favour of Fremantle. 25 gone in the second. Still a 12-point lead for the Blues over the Saints. 19 gone in the last at the Docklands.
So the Lions find themselves behind here As we approach half-time, Fort got the tap over the top to McCluggage. His kick went straight in the air. Brayshaw just ripped it away from Neil, then got away from the pack. The handball to Switkowski. Now to the runner, Jackson. Under pressure, kicks from just outside 50. Andrews flying across. Tried to claim the mark, wasn't paid. The umpire allowed him to just lay on the ball, but the Dockers have won another stoppage 25 metres out from goal.
That's the pop from Jackson then.
Jackson goes up in the ruck, taps it down. Walters taken. There'll be another ball up. So the Dockers pushing here as we approach half-time. Jackson's tapped down. Switkowski went without it. Ball bobbling around. Then Neil, clean. Got it to Starcevic. Now Zorko. Clears the ball outside defensive 50. Good contest between Gunston and Ryan, and Gunston wins on this occasion.
Gunston goes short. Brisbane through Zorko. Short again to Gunston. Still at right half back. Towards the outer side. They'll look to build again here, Brisbane. Bailey with it in the sunshine, just forward of the wing. He'll turn and come back towards Zorko again on the logo. Controlling the football at the moment, Brisbane, as they look to find a way through Fremantle's defence. Zorko elects to kick towards Gunston. He got away from Ryan and he marks hard up against the boundary, right half forward. There's 2 kicks from goal. Glances inboard to see if anything offers. Berry was on short, decides to go long towards the top of the goal square. Big pack up. Cox got a hand to it, spilled down to Fort. Hand pass back, Berry couldn't quite gather. Fletcher could, gave it to Berry again. Hand passes back to Neil, 45 out from goal. Sends it towards goal, right on the goal line. Unable to take it, Charlie Cameron. Aish picks it up off the deck. Dangerous hand pass. No one in particular. O'Meara gathers. Cameron gets him. Umpire says free kick taken high. O'Meara will have the free kick. And he'll have it at right full-back for the Dockers, who lead by 10. 27.5 gone in the second term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and News Radio.
O'Meara's kick outside 50, a little bit of a wobbler. Punch back inside 50 by the Lions. Henry did well to shake a tackle. Got it to Switkowski, had to spin and dance on the spot. His looping handball to Jackson. Fletcher tries to chase him down. The kick inside 50 to Tracy. Has to track it back, knocks it to his own advantage, running to the pocket, back to Walters, tight angle, kicks towards the goal, Corbett, can't mark. Off hands, going back was Pryor. Did well, was able to knock it through, another minus score. 5-4-34 the Dockers, 3-5-23 the Lions, an 11-point margin, 28 minutes played, approaching half-time.
The Lions sent it back inside their defensive 50, right back to their defensive goal square to Andrews. Now to Berry. Between fullback and centre half back. He'll go short again to Neil. Neil. Short pass to McCluggage. Lions will work it through towards Hipwood from Berry's kick. Hipwood's in the centre square. Gets told to play on. Kicks towards centre half forward. Leaping towards it. Jackson had one bite at it. 2. And takes the grab. That's a terrific mark. It was falling down. 1, 2, 3. Took the mark as the siren sounds for half-time. And it's a half that sees the Dockers in front by 11 points. 5-4-34 to Brisbane's 3-5-23. The goal kickers for the Fremantle Dockers, all individual. In fact, all individual for both teams. So Fremantle, Sturt, Schultz, Jackson, Frederick and Tracy. While for Brisbane, Danaher, McCarthy and Gunston. Fremantle with a 4-point lead at quarter time, turning that into an 11-point lead at the half. Checking again at the Docklands, the Blues running away with this now. Their lead is out to 20 points over St Kilda. They hadn't led since the early stages of the second term, Carlton, but they hit the front late in this final quarter. 10-13-73, Carlton. St Kilda 8-5-53.
Puts them up to 5th if they can hold on there, Carlton. 5th.
The Blues with 23 minutes gone in that final term. It's a huge result, as you said, for Carlton. If they can win that, it was also going to be a big result for St Kilda if they'd been able to get up as well. Carlton, they are firing at the moment. They will win 7 straight games if they can hang on for the last 5 minutes or so there at the Docklands. The other game earlier today, Melbourne by 32 over North Melbourne in Hobart, 15-13, 103 to North's 10-11, 71. But here at Perth Stadium, as the Dockers get an almost standing ovation for what they put on in front of their home fans, looking to go back-to-back after what's been a disappointing season. 5-4-34 to Brisbane's 3-5-23. What do our experts think? Shane Woden and Harry Taylor on Grandstand AFL.
Bit of a stalemate of a quarter, really, until probably the back half of it, where probably 2 shifts of momentum. Brisbane early, then Freo got on top in that last little bit, but just really a lack of efficiency going inside. A bit of score Fremantle on that last bit of that quarter. Had opportunities, I reckon, there. A couple of craft things from some forwards, but it's just an arm wrestle at the moment. Around the contest, in particular around stoppage. But yeah, who can be a little bit more efficient and get those uncontested marks inside 50 to take care of their opportunities?
Yeah, it felt like it became a bit more of a stoppage-centric game of footy.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think it really brought Jackson into the game. Had an outstanding term. His hit-out dominance, his ability to sort of break away in transition, get the ball forward, and we saw him finish with a goal as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Brisbane set up to combat that. Perhaps a bit more use of Danaher, Hipwood in some sort of transition style approach to negate Jackson's influence. But he for me is having a big say on this game.
Yeah, 52 for the half, stoppages. I think average, when I was coaching, about 90, 95. That's well over now. We're going to push 110 easy, which probably does play into the hands of Fremantle with the athleticism and the tank that he does have, where Darcy Fort probably can't get across the ground. That's where McInerney does grind down opponents, done it over the course of a game, with his size too. So I thought Lachie Neale sort of started to work his way into the game in that second term and get a bit of easy ball, but I still don't think that the Brisbane Lions midfield group is working well enough together. One, to help him stop Hayden Young. I don't think Hayden Young's been bumped, bruised or done anything just yet. So they talk about it, but again, it's about actions on game day when you get about it.
Thoughts of our experts Shane Woden and Harry Taylor. If you'd like to send us a text, tell us where you're listening, make a comment. What you thought of this, Fremantle supporters? If you've been wondering where it's been all year, you're not the Lone Ranger in that front. And for Brisbane, it is still an opportunity in this game. If they can fight back and get in front and win, they can climb to second on the ladder. Melbourne is there at this point in time, but a win for Brisbane with their percentage after a victory will see them jump into one of the top 2 spots. Handy to get a home preliminary final after Port for a long time looked like they were going to lock that spot in. Power currently sitting in 3rd, Brisbane in 4th, and as Mitch said, Carlton going to go on and win that other game. They'll climb up into 5th. Plenty of movement on the AFL ladder. Let's pause though here. Half-time, Fremantle 5-4-34, Brisbane 3-5-23. Back with plenty more soon, but let's take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
This is ABC News with David Rowlands. One man has died and hope is fading of finding his 5 sons alive after a fire ripped through a home on Russell Island, southeast of Brisbane, early this morning. The boy's mother managed to escape the blaze, which broke out just after 6 o'clock. Their home has been destroyed and the fire was so intense it also spread to 2 neighbouring properties. Russell Island resident Matt Purtell says the entire community is devastated by the tragedy.
As soon as I opened the door, you knew it was bad. The flames, those trees over there, the flames were 3/4 of the way up. You haven't seen a blaze like that. You just wouldn't expect it.
Young people who have been attending the Garma Festival want other Australians to realise that remote and regional kids don't have the same access to education as those in the cities. Indigenous Affairs reporter Brooke Fryer is at Garma in northeast Arnhem Land.
The next generation are a focus at this year's Garma Festival, with sessions across the Youth Forum and wider programs centred on developing First Nations excellence. Not quite old enough to vote, the next generation of leaders want the same access to education and opportunity as their non-Indigenous peers. One Binny girl from West Arnhem Land, Maureen, says teachers are not showing up to their classrooms. Maureen also says education is the most important thing, and everyone should have equal access. Brooke Fryer, ABC News, Gukula.
Penalties for the promotion of tax exploitation schemes will be increased by more than 100 times current levels as part of a fresh government crackdown following the PwC scandal. Advisors and firms caught doing the wrong thing will now face maximum fines of more than $780 million, up from $7.8 million. Labor Senator Deb O'Neill says tax secrecy laws will also be improved.
We expect that will make some quite significant difference in making sure that people who are operating in the tax field, accountants and audits, will do the right thing.
A 46-year-old woman has been refused bail after being charged over an alleged stabbing in the New South Wales Hunter region. Emergency services were called to a home at Metford near Maitland following reports of a brawl. A man and woman were taken to hospital for treatment of chest and hand injuries. Authorities in northeastern China have raised the emergency response level there as waterways swelled to dangerous levels following days of heavy rain caused by Typhoon Doksuri. The typhoon has killed at least 20 people and displaced thousands, as well as flooding Beijing and several other cities since it made landfall in China's south a week ago after cutting a lethal swathe through the Philippines. China's Great Northern Granary is now bearing the brunt of the typhoon's winds and torrential rains. A remembrance ceremony has been held in the Japanese city of Hiroshima, marking the 78th anniversary of the dropping of an atomic bomb on it by the United States during World War II. Larry Buttrose reports.
On the morning of August the 6th, 1945, an American B-29 bomber dubbed the Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and its people. The exact toll from the blast, burns and fallout may never be known, but it's now put at 140,000 lives lost. 3 days later, the US dropped another bomb on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. In his address marking the bombing of his city, Hiroshima Mayor Kazumi Matsui rejected the growing calls from Western nations for nuclear weapons to be seen as a deterrent, resulting from uneasiness over Russia's war in Ukraine and tensions in the Koreas. He said so-called deterrence theory was a dangerous folly.
To sport, and Matilda's coach Tony Gustafsson says Sam Kerr has been looking good at training ahead of tomorrow's World Cup soccer match against Denmark at Sydney's Olympic Stadium. The Australian captain is yet to take the field in the tournament after straining her calf on the eve of her side's opening match. The Matildas need to beat Denmark to progress to the quarter-finals. Gustafsson says Kerr is showing positive signs.
I had a nice moment as a team yesterday. We see her back with the boots on and touching the ball and be with the team in training, and it was a very good feeling for her, a very good feeling for the players and the teammates, and a very good feeling for me.
Meantime, the Netherlands have beaten South Africa 2-0 in their round of 16 match at the Women's World Cup at the Sydney Football Stadium. The Dutch will now face Spain in the quarter-finals in Wellington on Friday. And in AFL, Melbourne has beaten North Melbourne by 32 points at Hobart's Bellerive Oval. Cozzy Pickett, Alex Neil-Bullen and Cade Chandler kicked 3 goals each for the Demons in their win. North Melbourne, who welcomed back coach Alistair Clarkson after 2.5 months on leave, remains winless since round 2 this season.
ABC Listen.
A Russian chef marches on Moscow. The Thai military attempts to hold on to power and prop up an oddball king. And an American ex-president stores classified documents in a toilet and a ballroom. Those plans all backfired, didn't they? I'm Matt Bevan. Join me for a new season of the podcast, If You're Listening, helping you make sense of major news events shaping our world with new episodes weekly. Hear it right now on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
McCarthy kicks long and over the top for Archie to run onto. Gathers at pace. Quick hand pass inboard. McCluggage into the right forward pocket and marking Gunston. Coming in Gunston from 40 metres out, deep in the right forward pocket. He kicks the goal.
Clearing defensive 50. The Dockers win it back. Aish kicks on the outside of the boot. Walters couldn't quite get there in time. Now Jackson gets a handball out to Frederick. Has time, has space, throws it on the left. And kicks truly.
Getting rid of it, McKenna kicks towards right half back, but he turns it over. The opposite 26 in Young gathers. Gives it to Walters, 51 from goal. And he finds Jackson, who marks. 40 out from goal. Kicks on its way for Fremantle. He raises both fists in the air to celebrate. He's first of the day. The Dockers have got their 5th.
the 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
We're at Perth Stadium where the Dockers lead 5-4-34 to Brisbane's 3-5-23 at half-time. It's all over at the Docklands. The Blues by 19 points, 10-13-73. St Kilda 8-6-54, which means quite remarkably an enormous jump for the Blues, who began the round in 7th, dropped out of the 8th, and now find themselves sitting in 5th. What an effort from Carlton as they continue on their merry way. The Blues, after that run of 6 losses in the middle of the season, now won 7 straight. Gold Coast in round 14 and then the bye. Hawthorn by 60, Fremantle here by 53, Port by 50, West Coast by 71, Collingwood by 17, and now rolling the Saints in an away game at the Docklands as far as they are concerned by 19 points. Goal kickers for them. Having a look through those. Always my computer lets me down whenever I try and do this. Motlop with a couple, Akers with 2, Owies with 1, Martin with 1 as well, Dow 1, De Koning 1, Curnow 1, and Cunningham, the other goal kicker for Carlton. Max King kicked 2 for the Saints, as did Dan Butler. Total disposals, Nick Newman with 35, Fisher with 32, but it was Mason Wood who had the most on the ground with 36 for St Kilda. Carlton 10-13-73 to the Saints 8-6-54. If you'd like to send us a text, you can do so. 0437 774 774. 0437 774 774. We'll run through your texts in just a moment. First, let's have a look at all the other numbers. Mitch Turner.
The individual disposal getters here at Perth Stadium. Hayden Young for the Dockers, 15 disposals, along with Andrew Brayshaw as well. Liam Henry, 14. Caleb Strong, 13. Luke Jackson, 9 disposals to go with his 23 hitouts today, and his goal going very well. The Fremantle big man on the other side, the travelling side, Brisbane. Jared Berry leading the way with 19 disposals, having plenty of the ball down across the back line there. Lachie Neale getting his way up to 12 after a slow start. Hugh McCluggage, Zach Bailey with 11. Zorko and Wilmot with 10 apiece. The team stats we go through, the disposal count going the way of Fremantle, 176 to 165. The contested possession count, all square at the half, 62 for both sides. The marks going the way of Brisbane, 68 to 38, as Shane and Harry have pointed out. Fremantle wanting to use that handball rather than the kicking style of gameplay. Probably explain that number. The inside 50s, Brisbane 24 to 20. The clearance count 19 to 18 in the Lions' favour, although Fremantle winning the hitouts 25 to 18. They're the major stats. The tackle count as well, 42 to 33 to Brisbane. So a mixed bag across the board looking at the stat sheet, as we said, at quarter time, and as remains at half time though, the stat that matters most, 5-4-34 the Dockers, 3-5-23 the Lions as we get ready for this second half. We wait for both sides to run out. The Fremantle fans very eager in their seats to get a look at their side as they lead the way. The Lions plenty to play for, as we've said already on the coverage today. Port Adelaide stumbling again this round. Another loss, a 12-point loss to the Cats. The Lions with a chance to get to second spot on the table if they can take the win. So plenty to play for as the two sides run out at the exact same time and almost kind of run into each other, as Eric Hipwood has to dissect through a few. So too Charlie Cameron, maybe a few pleasantries exchange between the two as they run through. You don't see it that often. The two sides come out at the exact same time and almost collide.
Text question 0437 774 774. John's listening south of the river, weeding in the brilliant Perth sunshine. Alex Pearce finding his mojo. What do you think the turnaround has been, gents? He has had the odd tough moment today against Danaher, but other than that, what do you reckon?
Just one disposal though, so racked up the intercept possessions last week with a career high, but just one disposal that's done pretty well.
done well. It's not his job really to go and rack footy and find it 35 times as a key back.
No, I thought the commentary was probably a little bit harsh. We called the game v Sydney where Buddy kicked 3 goals, I think it was.
Yep.
But Pearce wasn't that bad that particular evening, because some of those kicks very, very difficult to defend. And I think some of the criticism was probably a little bit harsh. Clearly, outstanding statistical game last week for him.
15 intercept possessions last week.
But his job ultimately is to go out there and stop the best key forward having a big impact. And I think he's doing that well in his first half.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been important for him. It's a big job. A lot of homework to be done week in, week out, playing on the best key and to stop them, because that's the avenue, isn't it, really, for them to go through. So he had that in Joe Danaher today.
A matchup I wanted to ask you two about as well. Charlie Cameron, Jordan Clark, that's the matchup. Charlie's had the 2 chances for minor scores, but Clark seems to have done a fairly good job nullifying him so far.
He has. He's extremely quick, Charlie Cameron. But I'd also say that...
played with Jordan?
Yes, and Jordan also extremely quick. It'd be a great battle if they can get some space inside 50 to see how they go. Clark's a great matchup for him. Physically, he can probably match him okay. He's also obviously got the speed, and he's got the smarts now. Jordan Clark's worked really hard on his game awareness, his game IQ, and I think that's holding him in really good stead in this matchup.
Here's a question from Sam. Are the Demons the new premiership favourites? Port faltering, Dacos with an injury, Brisbane up and down. I tipped Melbourne at the start of the year for the premiership, so I'm going to stick with them as I've stuck with them all year. But they do look like, if we can forget about the first quarter today, they might be building to something.
I've always said they can win it. Yeah, I've been a strong believer in it all year. I know you don't have to play your best footy April, May, June. It's at the back end, and their contest game is the best in the comp. Their defensive, they're the best in the comp. They've got to tidy a few things, which they have. How many the points they kicked today?
103.
Again, kicked another 100. So they're finding their mojo at the right time of the year. It's all connecting for them right now, and they're good players. I think Clary comes back next week. Hopefully, get him in the team, and that's another avenue. So yeah, they're playing some good footy at the moment.
Won their past 5 as well. Do have an interesting battle in their last 3. Carlton, who we know are up and about, having won, as we mentioned before, now they're past 7. Melbourne have now won their past 5, but they've got Carlton at the G, Hawthorn at the G, and then Sydney at the SCG.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, they're probably sitting 4th and staying 4th, and now all of a sudden, just quietly got the 2nd. Could probably hold that.
I mean, Carlton are the form side in the comp, aren't they? You'd be a very brave person to call them premiership favourites, but they're clearly the hottest side in the comp.
Before we get this bounce, Harry, who's your premiership favourite right now?
Yeah, I'm bullish on Melbourne. I just think they're building nicely. I think their media team are doing a really good job at just controlling things. They're that team that everyone sort of not necessarily got to the front page at the moment. That can be a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're just waiting for the restart. Players in their position. Guarantee you this is just about making sure the television coverage, I guess they put in $1 billion every few years. They've got a right to play some ads, but everyone's standing around the umpire, tossing the red Sharon from hand to hand. Here we go. Third term about to start on Grandstand AFL. Mitch Turner to get us underway. The Dockers leading by 11.
So the ball goes back up to restart the second half. Brayshaw for the Dockers, got first hands to it. Young just gathering possessions, this time on his right, non-preferred. A good kick out wide for Henry and continued on and got it back. So the Dockers have the ball on the wing. Young, clever little kick over the top, finds Aish. On the logo, goes short. Walters just had a fumble. Couldn't take the mark, had to go back, gather, kicks it back to Hayden Young. A third possession in the chain. Handball to Wagner, running past. Schultz going back with courage. Got a hand in for Fremantle inside forward 50. The Lions diving in on top of the ball. Umpire circling. Happy to ball it up. So Hayden Young, a hot start. 3 touches already in this third quarter. Jackson's tap from the ruck. Was going for Switkowski. Umpire blew the whistle. Found a free kick. Taken high. So Sam Switkowski will get a free kick directly in front of goal, 30 metres out for the Dockers. Chance to kick the opening of this third quarter.
Great forward craft. Just get moving, make it difficult for the defender to get their feet set. Really good craft there.
He's dangerous around forward 50 stoppages because he does that. He does move, doesn't he? Generates free kicks.
Shameway Woden, Harry Taylor, our experts here on Grandstand AFL. Normally does his best work on the move, Sam Switkowski. This time a set shot directly in front. Can't squeeze it through. Misses to the right-hand side. A minor score to open proceedings in the second half. The Dockers 5-5-35. The Lions 3-5-23. 12-point margin. Almost 2 minutes played.
So Brisbane through Wilmot, bringing the ball back into play. He kicks towards right half back, and that's a good mark to Pearce. Got in front of Ford. Has it at left half forward for the Dockers. Some of the texters saying how he's turned things around. That's a great example. Alex Pearce, the Fremantle captain, put it back inside forward 50. They come from everywhere. Payne flew, couldn't mark. Frederick, over the shoulder hand pass. Here's Switkowski, kicks around the body, couldn't get it past Andrews. Last line of defence, he takes the mark. Hands it off to Pryor in the left back pocket. Dangerous kick. Henry tried to chop it off just by punching the ball over the boundary line, so he'll get a chance for a neutral ball. 45 out from Freo's attacking goal. They're heading to the left of our broadcast position. That's the Farmer Freeway end of Perth Stadium this third term. Ball spun in. Fort won it down for the Lions. Taking it though was Sarong. Hand pass intercepted. Archie had it. Kicks towards left half back. Rayner marks. Has it for the Lions. Their lead is now 12 points. He kicks towards centre wing out of sight and turns it over. Pearce had it. Moved it quickly towards Brayshaw. Set upon immediately. Fired the hand pass on. Wrapped up there by Archie. Ball on the outer side of the ground. It's put up into the air by the umpire. Jackson won it down. Umpire spotted a free kick. It's going the way of Brisbane. Fort taken high. He'll have it for the Lions, who trail by 12. 3.5 gone in this, the third.
So Fort's kick over the top had to be perfect and was to Dunkley. Has the ball just forward of centre wing. Sees something he likes inside forward 50, but Wagner did well for Fremantle. Cut across, but intercepted a leading Gunston. So the Dockers win the ball back. Wagner has a short target in Henry. Coming up to disposal number 16 for Liam Henry. Dangerous kick across centre half back. Cox had to be strong. Then had a runner in Clark. Can he get the kick over the top at half forward? Pryor did well going back. Frederick got a hand in. Walters took too long. Run down from behind. Terrific second effort by Jackson Pryor.
Had options.
Had to give it.
Had options.
Yeah. Holding the ball. Lions win it back. Terrific effort from the young West Aussie. It's his kick now goes forward. Up the wing. McCarthy had front position. Was held by Ryan. It'll come back. Wrap the arms around Luke Ryan in a moment of panic. Lincoln McCarthy will take the free kick on the wing. No one mans the mark, so he plays on. Kicks it deep inside the forward 50. Danaher flew. Knocked in front to Rayner. Roves it beautifully. Kicked from the impossible angle. And it proved just that. Just a minor score for Cameron Rayner as Brendan Cox get tangled up. 3-6-24 the Lions. 5-5-35. The Dockers an 11-point margin 5 minutes into the third.
Frauer away. Ryan moves it out towards Henry. Got it on to Switkowski. Now to Wagner. Burst towards the logo on the outer wing. Kicks inside forward 50 and Sturt marks. 40 out from goal. Slightly worse than a 45-degree angle to the right. He's good enough to kick this, Sam Sturt.
Great movement, Fremantle. Best options. Saw the first free one, hit it, and then it's opened up for him.
Yep. Anytime Harris Andrews is backpedaling, you know you're moving the ball the right way.
Sam Sturt already with one today. Boots cross the 50 from 47 metres out. Brings the crowd to its feet. He becomes the game's first multiple goal kicker. Fremantle with their sixth. 6-5-41 to Brisbane. 3-6-24. Sam Sturt with two. He was able to capitalise from what was a fair distance away with a lovely shot at goal. He's second. As we welcome listeners joining us from Carlton and St Kilda to Perth Stadium. The Dockers have just kicked their sixth goal. 6-5-41 to 3-6-24. Their lead now is 17 points. They began by a 4-point margin at quarter time. They led by 11 points at half time. Sam Sturt just kicking that major. The only multiple goal kicker of the game. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner, our experts, Shane Woden and Sharad Wellingham.
Bailey gets the clearance this time for the Lions. Kicks towards Danaher at half forward. Freo got the spoil in. Henry coming through, gave it to Aish under pressure.
Harry Taylor.
Harry Taylor. I was wondering what on earth. I was getting these signals from Mitch. I'm like, what are you on about? And now know there was 4 straight goals. It's always a nightmare joining the middle of the quarter. I'll just throw myself out the window. Sorry, Harry. Only spoken to you all weekend.
That's right. He only kicked 5 this week.
Yeah, 15 the week before. That's why he doesn't get a wrap.
Back here at Perth Stadium, Archie Shark, the young kick, kicks it towards the pocket. Ball rolls out of bounds. I listen to Corbin.
Flip the lid.
Corbin Middlemass.
I've thrown the cans off and walked out the door.
Brendan Goddard last night. Brendan Goddard marks down, puts a little cross in his book when Corbin and Ben get something wrong. And a couple last night he marked down, he said.
I reckon Brendan would have about 50 crosses in Corbin's book if that's the case.
Ball tossed back into play. Coming through was McCarthy. His kick was wayward, a minor score. As the footy does continue here in Perth. 3-6-24 the Lions. 3-7-25 it actually.
The Melbourne guys never have to worry about this stuff. They never have to deal with the crosses in the middle of a game.
16-point margin as Ryan has the ball for the Dockers.
Welcome wherever you're listening anyway. Ryan goes beyond defensive 50. You can tell Sharad's with us most weeks. Trying to get it down was Young. Kick from the Brisbane Lions back inside forward 50. Came off the boot of Leicester. It's nicely taken by Cameron. He has it 45 out from goal. Thought about handing it off to Danaher.
And onto it, Fremantle. Got a game of awareness.
It's a congested forward 50 now. Surely the umpire has to get Cameron to move this on now. In fact, he's told him to take a step to his right. That's what all the hoo-ha was about. Cameron will kick towards full forward. Big fly. That's a great mark, Archie. Took a terrific grab earlier today on the outer side of the ground. And he dragged in the football on this occasion. Should really go back and kick the goal from no more than 30 metres out. He'll be kicking, or starting rather, in line with the right hand behind post.
Defensive coach tears a hair out in those situations. It's a slow play. And it's made even slower by the fact the umpire's brought him around.
Callum Archie looking to put his name on the goal kicker's list. He dobs it through. Brisbane. They are able to respond after Fremantle kicked 4 straight, believe it or not. 4 unanswered.
He's sliding
6-5-41 to 4-7-31. The Dockers over the Lions. 10 gone in the third.
Yeah, slid in from the wing. And Sturt didn't take him.
We know where that ball's going though, right?
Absolutely we do.
Top of the goal square every single time. You just got to get body on your direct opponent.
Uncontested mark, really.
Callum Archie from South Fremantle via the Gold Coast Suns. Now a Lion gets his first goal of the day. Cuts the margin back to 10 points. 1 goal apiece in this third quarter. 10 minutes played. So the umpire takes his time. Puts the ball into the turf. Up it goes. Jackson and Ford go at it. Coming through Bailey. Dispossessed by Young. Got it to Brayshaw. Now O'Meara. 55 from home. Lowers the eyes. And puts it onto the chest of a leading Jai Amos. He'll go back. Have a chance to kick his first goal today.
Great work, Brayshaw. Just sweated on his opponent at the stoppage at the clearance there. It made it really difficult for him. Didn't drop off him early. Forced the fumble. Now they chain it out. A nice touch by O'Meara.
33 goals this season for Jai Amos. Having an incredible year, the young forward. Got very close to the man on the mark. Kicks towards goal. It's away to the right. Another minor score for Amos. 6-6-42 Fremantle. 4-7-31 Brisbane. 11 minutes played.
So the Lions go up The centre corridor. Came to Zorko. Got it on towards Cameron. Turned it over. Way of Jackson. Jackson handed it to Henry. Now to Brayshaw. Running by Henry. Breaks the tackle of Bailey. Got it out to O'Meara. Then towards Clark. Kicked inside forward 50. Mark not paid. Bounced just in front of Tracy. Andrew on him. He's 45 out from goal as he climbs up and hands the ball back to the umpire.
Love that by Liam Henry. Drive his legs.
Jackson won it down. It bounced back to him as well. Immediately tackled, though, by Ford. And throw it back to the umpire again. At the top of the 50-metre up. Tap one down by Jackson. Comes out towards Henry. Scooped it up. Fires a hand pass back to Ace. Just forward of the wing. Kicks high up into the air towards full forward. It's a 3-on-3 battle. The punch from Payne. Spills out towards Young. Broke the tackle of Neal. Kick towards goal. It'll bounce across the face and then continue on its path and tumble over for a boundary throw-in. Right full forward for Freo. They lead 6-6-42 to Brisbane's 4-7-31. 12 gone in the third.
So the Dockers with another chance at a scoring attacking play. Ball tossed in. Jackson wrapped the arm around, tapped it down the lines, tried to shark it. Able to clear the ball outside defence of 50. Sturt tracking it back. Boundary line, it beats him out of bounds. It's about 80 metres around from the Dockers goal. Fort and Jackson standing very deep. They now run up to meet the ball. Jackson gets there first. Tapped it down. O'Meara tapped it forward. Oh, Walters collided with the umpire. Looking a bit worse for wear too, but stays on his feet. The lines through hands. Get it to Starcevic. His kick out to the wing. Reading it best was Zorko. Did very well. Took the mark. Now plays on. Goes short. Bailey wants to move the ball inside forward 50. Has one-on-ones ahead of him. Clark did well. Gunston was on Ryan. Clark came across, left his man, and just punches the ball into the fourth row.
Great spoil. Really, really good. Come off a dangerous opponent. Impact the play. Help your teammate. Outstanding defensive work.
So ball to be thrown in deep in the left forward pocket. As far as Brisbane is concerned, Fort goes up, palms it down, looking to burst through Dunkley. Hand pass was meant for Rayner. Hughes did well, knocked it down for the Dockers. Shovels it backwards to Luke Ryan. Quick hand pass to Aish, going by Brayshaw. Lovely chain of hands, finds the ball with Sarong. Kicks beyond defensive 50, that's clever. Corbett just palmed it down deliberately for Schultz. Well done by Corbett. Schultz goes across half-back. Flying Archie almost had it. Clark won it down. Tried to work it to Henry. He got tackled. Ball jarred out. Wilmot can't gather for the Lions. Flying back again, Schultz. Gave it to Clark. Now to Brayshaw again. Hands it on to Jackson. Jackson's hand pass in front of O'Meara. Had time to gather again. Onto the logo. On the commentary wing, it came to Brayshaw, to O'Meara. Then to Wagner, and he kicks to Jackson, who marks just shy of left half forward. Slick playing from Freo.
So they just want to move it forward, the Dockers. It was a bit chaotic, but they got there in the end. Jackson with the ball on the wing. Kicks into the pocket, coming from the side. Andrews couldn't mark. Bailey there to clean up for Brisbane. Through hands to Starcevic. Now McCluggage up the wing has an option. Hitwood presenting. A long way from home. Wants to switch the ball to the wing. Sets a task for Berry. Has to go and grab it. Schultz bearing down. Does well. Kicks out towards McCarthy. Another strong mark. He's taken a couple today, Lincoln McCarthy. This Fremantle flood numbers back behind the ball. McCarthy. Long, high kick to the pocket. Danaher wanted to sit from the front. Rayner couldn't mark. Gunston gave it to McCluggage. Kick around the body is a beauty. Terrific finish by Hugh McCluggage. It's not always the most reliable in front of goal, but he gets his first today, his 7th for the season. Brisbane have their 5th, 5-7-37. The Dockers 6-6-42. They pull the margin back to 5 points. So we quickly head down to Bridget Lacey.
Injury concern for Fremantle's Ethan Hughes. He's just limping to the bench now, with the doctor will keep an eye on him.
Complete opposites there. Fremantle kick long inside 50, get no ground level support from their smalls, and they chain it and get out Brisbane. Vice versa, they go inside 50, get line of contest, get the crumb, get first hands, flick out the hands, shot on goal.
clearing spoil, so important in footy.
No soft drops.
We saw that from Clark. That was the opposite, wasn't it? Just a really soft drop.
Ball back in the centre. Bounce from the umpire. Rucks go at it. One down there by Tracy for the Dockers. Gave it nicely on the palm to O'Meara. Now to Erasmus. Hands Fremantle forward. Again with Tracy, who'd run towards the southern wing. And the kick inside forward 50. Walters couldn't mark through his hands. He spilled the ground. Put it out towards Andrews. Andrews looking to work it towards left half back. Ball bouncing around. Pryor got it to Berry. Back to Pryor. He was tackled strongly by Brayshaw and the ball ricocheted away and over the boundary line for a throw-in. Having a look again, it was Hughes' leg that sort of seemed to be trapped underneath him when he was tackled by Rayner.
Ouch.
Yeah, problem with the left leg. They're still working on that left ankle, as we can see on the big screen here at the stadium, as it's put back into play by the boundary umpire. O'Meara tries to emerge with it, got tackled by Bailey. Ball spilled out. McCarthy from the Lions dives on top of it. Zorko's in from the side. They're going to play holding the ball here. It's against Erasmus, who couldn't get rid of it. Zorko will get the free kick. Southern wing, he'll move it forward. Chance to set up again as it comes to Dunkley, running by Berry. Berry looks to go short, marked by Rayner. Too far out to score himself.
Rayner goes into the pocket looking for McCluggage again. And once again, Jordan Clark getting across, affecting the spoil, knocking it out of bounds.
Zorko is starting to have a bit of an impact here. You mentioned earlier in the call, Wowie, his ball use. I think that's starting to really pay dividends for Brisbane moving forward.
The Lions mounting a charge here in this third quarter. Tracy did the ruck work, followed it up. Kick was knocked off to Clark. Now back to Erasmus. Fremantle managed to clear, get the ball outside. Defensive 50 goes over the back of the pack. Berry tracking it back. Walters with him. Knocked off his leg, out of bounds. On the bounce though. So it'll be a ball in almost on centre wing, far side of the ground here at Perth Stadium. So you see Ethan Hughes just trying to warm up that ankle on the bench. Ball tossed back in. Goes over the back of the pack. Who'll get there first? Erasmus. Couldn't gather. Wilmot was clean. There's been a whistle. The umpires paid the free kick going the way of Neil Erasmus for a push in the back. So the Dockers do win possession. The Lions are the last 2 goals as Erasmus goes wide, finds Luke Ryan. Very high up the ground. Only one Fremantle defender in their own half, and that's Brennan Cox. Ryan had a look at him, but chose to go further afield to Erasmus again. Now he decides to send it inside forward 50. Erasmus kicks it in. Andrews had his name written on it the whole way through. Takes the mark and goes short outside 50 to Bailey.
Bailey off a step. Lovely pass. Now to hit up McCluggage. Marking just forward of left half back. He pauses while players stream forward. It's told to play on. Sends it towards left half forward. Hipwood marks, stretching. Hand pass over the top for Rayner to drag in. Breaks the tackle of Brayshaw. Hands it off to Berry. 49 metres out from goal. He sends it towards the big sticks.
Doing their best.
That's a great goal. The Lions hit the fronts as we're about to hit time on in the third term. 6-7-43 to 6-6-42. A wonderful finish from Berry. He puts his name on the list of goal kickers for Brisbane.
On held up ball with Fremantle go inside 50, they can't kick down the line, can they? They've got to kick off it. Because it's just playing into Harris Andrews' hands. He just doesn't worry about his opponent, goes and marks the ball. And they went straight back at him.
Yeah, forward 50 entry craft sort of it's been a bit of an issue for them. They're getting their hands on it, they're moving it forward, getting opportunities, but their last few entries have just really played to Brisbane's strengths.
They haven't got big aggressive forwards, have they? So they can't, get off their opponents as much. They haven't been so young in their careers to date.
Jared Berry, 23 disposals, and now a goal to go with it as Jackson gets the tap to Sarong out of the middle. His kick, though, straight to McKenna. Tried to claim the mark, then chose not to. Played on. Sarong gets it to Schultz. Fremantle streaming inside forward 50. Schultz kick towards the goals. Corbett going back. Has he taken the mark in the field of play or not? The umpires will have a conference. This will no doubt be a score review.
It's a mark.
It was very close. As we see the replay, Shane, Harry.
It's a mark.
I think it's a mark, yeah.
The replay system here at Perth Stadium for fans was just malfunctioning for a moment.
It's a soft call.
The ball was controlled, says the umpire. In the field of play, it is a mark to Josh Corbett.
I thought we got the old test pattern for a minute then. For those who are old enough to remember the test pattern.
It was just tuning or doing something like that, the screen was, but the fans did see it in the end, and what they saw was a mark. So Corbett has the chance to kick his first, has to run around from a tight angle, plays on, curls it around. The Dockers get one back. They retake the lead. Brisbane kick 3 straight. The Dockers end that streak through the boot of Josh Corbett. 7-6-48 Fremantle, 6-7-43 Brisbane. 22 and a half minutes played as we head down to Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, Ethan Hughes has had the doctors work on that, what looks like a left ankle injury twice, and he's got up and jogged up and down twice, and he looks like he's decided he's going to be okay to continue. So I'll let you know when he's back on the ground.
Interesting from a sub point of view tactically for Fremantle. You probably thought before that, is it Corbett to get Johnson on, give him a bit more run? They might just put that in their back pocket for a couple more minutes.
Subs, by the way, Johnson, as Shane mentioned, for Fremantle. Robertson for Brisbane from the restart. Fort won it down, bursting through Neal. Quick hand pass back. Got it to McCluggage. Then to Dunkley, back to Neal, who now marks just shy of the logo, southern wing. Entire ground in shade now. A few clouds starting to float across the skyline too. No chance of rain. Ball's out towards Pryor. We'll kick into the left forward pocket. Big fly, Danaher at front. Couldn't mark, spilled down towards Clark. Oh, his kick's been turned over. Thumped it away defensively. Taken immediately then by Dunkley. Puts it back towards full forward. And a mark taken by Cameron. He'll be able to go back and have a shot from no more than 15 metres out. Should just be able to pop it over the top of Alex Pearce. He'll go with the set snap around the body. Charlie Cameron kicks truly. Brisbane back in front. Seesawing battle in the last few moments. Cameron becomes the 7th different goal kicker for Brisbane. They've got 7-7-49 on the scoreboard. The Dockers 7-6-48, 24 and a bit minutes gone in the third term. Our experts, I'll get it right this time, Shane Woewodin and Harry Taylor.
Nothing worse than a turnover and your direct opponent then takes an easy mark, kicks a goal on you, as we see Clark come off for a little bit of an assessment after a pretty big hit. He's been outstanding, Clark, but unfortunately their turnover ends up in goal and direct opponent.
Did the replay get him in the head?
He just held his collarbone for a second. We'll head down to Bridget Lacey quickly.
Ethan Hughes back on the ground, and as you mentioned, Geordie Clark just chatting to the doctors now.
I just saw him grab at the collarbone when he got hit, so hopefully it's okay. Jordan Clark for Fremantle's sake, as ball back in the middle. Fort gets it down. Dunkley couldn't quite gain possession. Fort had a fresh area. Then the handball to Neal was too hot. Brayshaw gets it from Sarong. Now to Schultz. 40 metres out. Outside of the boot. The finish is superb. Lockie Schultz turning it on. Goal number 2. He kicked the first goal of the day. They answer straight back, the Dockers. They retake the lead. What a finish, Lockie Schultz. 8-6-54 Fremantle. 7-7-49 the Lions.
Great havoc from centre bounce Fremantle. That's their third goal from stoppage at centre bounce. And they're chaining it through. And effectively.
Should be really excited, Freo supporters, seeing that. You know, the young brigade in there at the moment, they're really standing up and delivering against, I think, what we all think is a really solid Brisbane midfield group, aren't they? So and led by Jackson, outstanding again with his tap and follow-up work. It's a rare commodity to have someone who can do that.
Follow up, yep.
Yet another lead change. Absorbing battle here. Jackson against Fort. Not a great bounce. Fort was able to tap it down. Young couldn't take it. Soccering it forward. Dunkley almost kicking in danger. Umpires let them play. Ball's been locked in here. It's going to be holding the ball. Sarong affecting the tackle. Locking it up into Dunkley. Sarong with the free kick. Gets up and takes it off just a step. Finds Walters. Marking on the outer side of the logo. Southern wing. Brings it back towards the defensive, or rather the outer edge of the centre square. Will move it short again to Brayshaw. Sarong runs behind him. Brayshaw ignores the chance for a quick hand pass and said he'll switch play to Ryan, who marks just behind the logo on the northern wing. Comes down the line. Good run from Frederick and a long way to make sure he can take a mark right beneath our broadcast position. He stands in front of the interchange gates. As Ryan comes off and Clark is back on again. Frederick kicks, big pack in the left forward pocket. They come from everywhere. Getting his hands to it was Corbett. Spilled down though to Archie. Hand pass back to Payne. Immediately set upon. Got it away to Lester. Kick beyond defensive 50. The ball was attacked by Clark and he could have a second grab at it. He marks it centre half forward. Off one step. He'll send it towards the teeth of goal. Tracy got a fist on it. Spilled down to Lester. Has the hand pass it back. Starcevic. Kick was smothered. Beautifully done by Sturt. Ball ricochets away and over for a boundary throw-in. That's a 1% of the Dockers fans are delighted to see. They lead by 5 points. 8-6 plays 7-7, 28 gone in the third.
Terrific smother from Sam Sturt. That's been the knock on him in the past few seasons. Just the small things. He's showing us what he can do today. Ball tossed in. Fort got rid of Jackson with that handball and straight to the and his kick was hammered into the post. It was almost perfection from Luke Jackson, but it wasn't to be on this occasion. A minor score for the Dockers. 8-7-55, Brisbane 7-7-49. 28 minutes gone, third quarter.
Lions work it around their defensive 50. McKenna to Neal to Zorko, now to Archie. Still inside their back 50 in the right back pocket. Archie will bring it down the commentary wing. He wants Dunkley. Aish with courage going back, got a hand to it. It spilled down though to McCarthy. His kick smothered. Stretching Jackson, got a touch on it. And the ball bobbles over the boundary line again for a throwing. Right half forward for Brisbane. Results earlier today. Melbourne by 32 over North. Carlton by 19 over St Kilda. Brisbane, with a medium-sized win, can climb to second. But they have to get back in front first just to get the 4 points from the throw-in. Ball ricochets away to a pack. Archie gathers. It's been held to him. Ball up again, the call, just forward of the commentary wing.
Ball back into play. Sarong rove the tap from Jackson. His kick high up and under McCarthy again. Takes another good ball under a high one. Has the mark on centre wing. Goes wider to Dunkley. Corbett stands the mark as again the numbers flood behind the ball. Goes to a large pack in the pocket at the back, punched away by Brennan Cox, who just landed a little awkwardly there. Cox might be a case of maybe a bit of cramp or something. His first game back after a decent layoff from injury. Ball out of bounds. Toss back in now. Fort tapped it down. Young went without it for Freo. Rayner sharked the handball. Kicks from the pocket. Back towards the top of the square. Danaher and Pearce wrestling. Pearce did well. Bailey took the crumb. Jasper Fletcher around his body. Couldn't seal the deal. Another minor score again. 7-8-50. Brisbane 8-7-55. The Dockers a 5-point lead late in the third quarter. Perth Stadium Grandstand AFL and streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Clark with the kick in, long towards left half back. Flying Andrews came in from the side of the pack and then punched it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Expect Bailey to have a shot himself in those situations. He's very, very crafty around goal. Would have liked to see him back himself in there.
Good crowd in around the 40,000 mark as it's spun back into play. Fort won it down. And after it, Archie couldn't gather the bouncing football. It bobbled away from him with Brayshaw applying pressure and out for another boundary throwing. Brendan Cox, it's all right at the moment. Just wipes the sweat away from his face as the umpire unfurls on the boundary. Jackson palmed it down. Switkowski out after it. Pressure came from Wilmot, and again, it's back over the boundary line with no one able to take clean possession. Multiple goal kickers for the Dockers. Schultz has 2. Sturt has 2. Moment, individual goal kickers for Brisbane. Ball thrown back in on centre logo, commentary wing. They've got a telling touch. Switkowski tries to get it back towards Jackson. Jackson gets a kick away for Fremantle. Decent flying from the side from Starcevic. Sturt could bring it away. Free kick being paid. It's going to the advantage of the Dockers. Brayshaw was taken to ground by Archie, and then a kick towards full forward from Sturt is ineffective, would be the best way to describe it, as it misses everything and rolls across the boundary line at right full forward for a throw-in. 8-7-55 the Dockers, 7-8-50 the Lions, 32 and a bit gone in the third.
Don't mind that decision. Take the advantage. Have a crack at it.
Jackson and Fort again. Young was coming through for the Dockers, but Fletcher was able to just bang it on the boot and get it outside defensive 50. Ball bobbles around. Aish lost it. Bailey handballs it forward for the Lions. Danaher just stops and props on the wing, goes inboard to Bailey. Now Zorko running past. Normally a good user. Clark and Cameron one-on-one. Cameron did well to get out the back. Clark tugged the jumper. The umpire saw it. And he'll pay the free kick. The Dockers fans don't like it, but it was there. Charlie Cameron will get a chance at his second. An acute angle, but about 5-10 metres out.
Not a fun place to be. No. Inside 50, running back to goal with Charlie Cameron.
Really disappointed with that Fremantle. Minute to go, lock in your front half. Repeat stoppages. Just couldn't hold it in.
So Cameron steps around, can't miss from there, doesn't. The Freo fans might not like it. The Lions are back in front. 8-8-56. The Dockers 8-7-55. Cameron gets his second of the quarter. Late stages in this third.
I would have closed that forward 50 stoppage up. That one, that looked really open. Quick kick by Fletcher, gets it out. They win contest, head of the ball, and out they go to an open forward line.
Yeah, you just need some experienced players there just to lock the stoppage down.
That's right.
Jump on the ball, free kick. It's better than that ball bobbling out.
Another lead change. Brisbane by 56. It's a 55 for Fremantle. Wait for the ball to be thrown up again. Another ruck with a really prominent tap. Jackson went out after it again. Brayshaw tried to work it forward. Young had it, ran straight into traffic. He's now, though, the Dockers in Jackson. Jackson with a thumping kick, 55 out from goal. It's bouncing into the post. Sturder did well against Leicester, had done well rather against Leicester. Was able to work him out from under the football, and Jackson just couldn't find the major opening. A second poster for him in this game, and scores a level at three-quarter time. Fremantle 8-8-56, Brisbane 8-8-56. The goal kickers for the Dockers, 2 to Sturt, 2 to Schultz, singles to Jackson, Corbett, Frederick and Tracy. While for Brisbane, Charlie Cameron's got 2. Singles to Danaher, Archie, McCluggage, Berry, McCarthy and Gunston. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital News Radio, and of course streaming on the ABC Listen app, look for the AFL Extra button. This is Grandstand AFL.
You'll always find top drama on ABC iView. Tell me what you got. Always intriguing with The Messenger and Smother.
I don't know who to trust anymore.
People think I'm a psycho. Always dramatic with Vandervalk and In Our Blood.
She really doesn't like you. The world needs beautiful things right now.
And always different with In Limbo, Bay of Fires, and so much more.
I'm back for an encore.
A surprise holiday. You'll always find the best drama. Happy. Streaming for free on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hipwood marks, stretching, hand pass over the top for Rayner to drag in. Breaks the tackle of Brayshaw, hands it off to Berry. 49 metres out from goal. He sends it towards the big sticks. That's a great goal. The Lions hit the fronts as we're about to hit time on in the third term.
The handball to Neil was too hot. Brayshaw gets it from Sarong. Now to Schultz, 40 metres out, outside of the boot. The finish is superb. Lockie Schultz turning it on, goal number 2. He kicked the first goal of the day. They answer straight back, the Dockers. They retake the lead. What a finish, Lockie Schultz. Clark and Cameron one-on-one. Cameron's did well to get out the back. Clark tucked the jumper, the umpire saw it. And he'll pay the free kick. The Dockers fans don't like it, but it was there. Charlie Cameron will get a chance at his second. So Cameron steps around, can't miss from there, doesn't.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Earlier today on Grandstand AFL, we began in Hobart, where Melbourne were 32-point winners over North, 15-13, 103 to North, 10-11-71. At the Docklands, it was another thriller as Carlton came back to beat St Kilda by 19, 10-13-73 to 8-6-54. It propelled the Blues up to 5th on the ladder. Brisbane know if they win here and win, well, by around about 3 goals, they can climb into 2nd. But at the moment, scores are level with Fremantle. It's 8-56 apiece. We hope for a beauty to finish round 21. We've got one, gentlemen. Shane Woden and Harry Taylor on Grandstand AFL.
Can't separate the two teams, Harry. I reckon there's been a great contest and the scoreboard's reflective of that at 56 points apiece. Probably where Fremantle need to improve is defensively. I think from that quarter of the 5 goals Brisbane kicked, 3 were from D50, whether that's from stoppage or from turnover or kick in. They were able to go the length of the field, and they've scored 25 points from D50 today, Brisbane. So it's an area they've got to tidy up. Fremantle, if they're any chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think Fremantle's leg speed has stood out to me. When they can use their leg speed the right way, they look dangerous. We said it early in the call, that handball ratio is something to just keep backing in, keep using it. Both teams are going to be used to sunny winters. It'll be interesting to see how much fatigue does play a role in this last quarter. We've both teams obviously got a fresh sub to use. I'll be interested to see if that is tactical at some point early in this term. Both players, might be able to come on, bring some heat, bring some energy around the contest. But you're right, Fremantle defensively probably just dropped off a little bit that quarter. Jordan Clark was really animated at the 3/4 time huddle there with his midfield group, and it would have been in relation to that last goal where there just wasn't enough pressure. And like you said in the call, the ball transitioned from one end to the ground far too easy.
Deb Robertson still has the T-shirt on, so nothing for Brisbane at this stage.
Some of the stats for both sides. Andrew Brayshaw, 23 disposals, leads the way for Fremantle. Hayden Young and Caleb Sarong with 22 each. Liam Henry, 21. And Luke Jackson, 19 disposals, 34 hitouts and 1 goal. 2 for the Lions, 23 to Jared Berry. Hugh McCluggage with 18. Zach Bailey also 18. Lockie Neal, 16. McCarthy and Zorko, 15 apiece. The Dockers lead the disposal count, 266 to 247. The contested possession count, Brisbane getting the edge by 1 at 95 to 94. The inside 50 count now favouring the Dockers, 36 to 35. And the clearance count also favouring Fremantle, 33 to 30, as they take it's all squared up as we go into the 4th quarter, heading down to Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, Shane Woden just mentioned that Dev Robinson still had the jumper on, so Brisbane yet to make their sub, but Fremantle have made a 3/4 time sub, and it's Ethan Hughes, the man who's coming out of the game. We mentioned he was struggling a bit with that left ankle, so Matty Johnson into the game for Fremantle.
Game number 100 last week for Hughes, subbed out the week after.
So Brisbane looking to avoid back-to-back losses after going down to Gold Coast in the Q clash last week. While Fremantle, somewhat surprise winners, heading down to the Cattery to win by 7. who prevails now. Final term underway. Shocking bounce. They'll bring it back. It's always a bit of a ho-hum way to start. It's Darcy against Jackson as it's thrown up. Darcy couldn't get there. Darcy Fort couldn't get there. Jackson could. Looking to bring it out the lines. Quickly through the middle to Neal, then to McCluggage. Just really caresses the ball inside forward 50. Danaher gathered. Wagner did well. Knocked it to ground. Danaher had a second go while lying on the ground. Kicked towards full forward. It came out the side to Ryan. Shoveled the hand pass in the direction of Johnson. His first involvement is to take the ball over the boundary line for a throw-in. Deep in the right forward pocket for Brisbane. Good effort from Danaher on the deck. Thrown with a boot at it. Still managed to make 40 metres with the kick. Throw it in. Here's Darcy Ford again. Trying to get a hand pass out the side. Came to Dunkley, then to Rayner. Moved it short. Trying to get rid of it now is Fletcher. Tackled by Henry. Ball up the call. Given a little bit of time from the umpire. Fort tapped it down. Came here to Dunkley, tackled by Sarong. That's got to be incorrect disposal. He just dropped the football. Umpire says play on. Sarong has it now. It's to Clark. Hand pass knocked down by McCluggage. To Young of the Dockers. Kicks forward, punched on by Switkowski. Then socket off the ground by the Dockers into the middle of it. Near the centre circles, Amos can't gather. Starcevic can. To Zorko. To Wilmot running by for the Lions. Kicks out towards Neal, who marks it right half forward.
So the Dockers fans still not happy about the non-decision. Moments ago, as Neal goes short to Zorko. His kick into the pocket at the back. Danaher tried to claim the mark, but it was out of bounds already. It's on the full. It'll go the way of the Dockers and Jordan Clark.
A couple of them today, Fremantle. Free kicks for dropping the ball.
The umpire shaped like he was going to blow the whistle and then thought otherwise as the kick outside. Defensive 50 is good and Tracy camping at the back takes the mark. Good, dangerous kick towards Sarong was just too wide. Couldn't take the mark. The Lions win it back. Neal inside 50. Cameron on the lead. No, Gunston takes the mark. Luke Ryan right on his hammer. The umpire will pull him back. It's right on the 50, Luke Ryan. Gunston will have to go all of 55, 60 metres to clear the line. Makes good connection. It's going right to the line. Cox and Wagner there, duo, double team, able to double fist the ball over the line. So the Lions retake the lead for the time being. 8-9-57, 8-8-56. The Dockers, 3 minutes played. Final quarter here on Grandstand AFL.
Here goes Wagner. Kicks towards right half back. 2-on-2 battle. Jackson gets to the front position. Able to mark it. Ball comes out the side and then it's over the boundary line for a throw-in. Switkowski was there. Last player to get near it. Brisbane in their Fitzroy collared jumper with the regal line on the front. The Dockers in their home uniform, all purple with the 3 white chevrons. As Fort palms it down. Only as far as Young though. Kicks towards right half forward for the Dockers. Stretching for it. Tracy got hands to it. Bursting through, breaking a tackle. Switkowski's kick was too short though for Leicester. Not far enough to be a mark. Leicester chopped it off, went back inside his defensive 50. And they'll group it out to Andrew now. Andrews with it hard up against the boundary. Harris Andrews comes down the line. It might be out of bounds on the full, is it? It is. Free kick to Fremantle, just forward of the commentary wing.
It had to be perfect, that kick.
Standing Pryor on the line, just floated a little bit away from him as the Dockers bring the ball back in. It comes to Luke Ryan, who has it just shy of the logo commentary wing and then goes short to Aish, who marks. Brisbane by a point, 4 gone in the 4th.
Aish's kick up the wing, short again to Sarong. If you're just joining us, it's Brisbane by a point. They trail by as much as 17 in the 3rd as Sarong goes inside the forward 50. Tracy almost marks.
Had it.
Going through as Fletcher taking a tackle, ball up. So 17 points the lead was to Fremantle almost 6 minutes into the 3rd quarter as Jackson taps it down, follows up his work, gives it to Liam Henry. Normally a beautiful kick, this one curling. Oh, marked on the line. Jai Amos We'll have a score review. He was right on the behind line. Did he mark it in the field of play? Doesn't look too confident. He has.
That's a mark.
Has he used the post?
No. That is a one-handed mark from Jai Amos right on the goal line. It will be 2, so he'll get it from directly in front once the umpire pays this. They might just be double-checking that he had control, but up here in the box it looks like a clean mark, and that's the decision. So Jai Amos get his chance at goal number 1, puts it through, the Dockers back in front. First goal for Jai Amos. The first goal of this final quarter. Fremantle back in front. 9-8-62. The Lions 8-9-57. 6 minutes played here, fourth quarter. Perth Stadium. Grandstand AFL are experts. Dual premiership player Harry Taylor. Brownlow medalist Shane Wowo.
It's a great mark against a big defender. Jack's Payne then, that was a horrific contest. He had to get that over the line.
His teammate was coming into spoil and almost ran into the back of him, but loved Henry's game. Jeez, he's been good,
hasn't he? He's grown in confidence, Henry. Such an important part of this midfield for Fremantle.
Fremantle's fans have grown in volume. The bounce, Fort punches it forward for Brisbane. Neal onto it. Tried to gather, couldn't. It spilled out there to Zorko. Gave it back to Bailey. Kicks inside forward 50. Here's Clark. Defensively for the Dockers to Ace to Ryan. Can he get away from Rayner? He arched the back and he could. Ryan for Fremantle. Kicks in the direction of the outer wing. Push in the back. Goes the way of Tracy. It's against Andrews. Tracy will have the free kick. Right up against the boundary, about a metre in from it.
Had to go short to Johnson.
Decides to go on a run. With the right, will kick into the left forward pocket. Ball one to ground. Lester knocked it down to Bailey. Goes back to Wilmot. On in turn to Payne. The Lions kick beyond defensive 50. Here's Cox at the back of the line of 4. Taking a good mark for Fremantle just forward of the southern wing.
Goes short to Erasmus. Now wants to send the ball inside forward 50 to a dangerous spot. Pack forms going back. Tracy can't mark. Sturt coughed it up. Back to the Lions. Lester's kick outside defensive 50. Hitwood took it on the bounce. And Erasmus took him. It'll be a ball up. 75 out from the Dockers goal. They lead by 5. Sarong through the pack. Handballs it inside forward 50. Frederick gives it to Switkowski. Dances around one. Back to Frederick. Trying to get away from the opponents. Sarong had the composure to get it to a free man in Erasmus. His kick inside 50 is short. Too short to Frederick. It'll be a ball up right on the boundary line, just inside the forward 50. Left half forward for the Dockers. A 5-point lead, 9 minutes played. Final quarter.
8 lead changes in the game so far. Is there more to come as Bailey takes the ball back over the boundary line with Berry next to him?
So Hughes going off and being subbed out. O'Meara's gone half back.
Ball to be spun back in. 51 out from Fremantle's goal. The Dockers kicking to the city end in this, the final term. Boundary umpire unfurls. Fort palms it down into a pack. Jackson punches it forward. Walters can't gather. Young Ken hands it off to Johnson. His hand pass missed Erasmus. Has to backtrack towards the boundary line. Bailey went for him rather than the football, and then it tumbles over in the meantime. Throw in again, still at left half forward. A little bit further away than they were before, though. Left half forward for the Fremantle Dockers. 9-8-62 Freo. 8-9-57 the Lions. 9.5 gone in the final term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and News Radio.
Jackson gets it down to Young. Had a fumble coming through Dunkley for the Lions. His handball couldn't find Neal. Johnson toe pokes it away, then just managed to get it to Sarong. Dances around a couple. Kicks it back inside forward 50. Punch from behind. came from Sturt. McKenna just hacks it off the ground. Outside defensive 50, off fought, had a fumble, had to go back and get it, and was tackled by Young.
9 tackles for Young today.
There's been some great tackles all over the field, hasn't there? Real feature of today's game, I thought.
All back out, fought, taps it down to Dunkley, strong through the hips. Broke clear, got the handball to Neal. A couple boos as he goes short to Hipwood. Just backward of centre wing. The rangy left footer kicks it up the wing looking for a target. Aish was in front of Rayner. Ball comes off hands, out of bounds. Boundary throw in. 2 kicks from home still for the Lions. They trail by 5 points. 8-9-57. The Dockers 9-8-62.
Winners earlier today, Melbourne over North and Carlton over St Kilda. All back into play. Jackson and Foote both had a touch. It spills down to Neal. Hand pass to Berry. Racing by McKenna for the Lions. Kicks long towards full forward. Pearce through his hands. Couldn't mark. Danaher off the ground. Sockers it through. Lions back in front. A 9th lead change. Danaher kicking another goal. His second. The Lions up by a point. 9-9-63 to 9-8-62. 11 gone in the last.
It was one of those hack forward kicks. Had his hands on it. The only thing I can see there is if you're in that position, you can turn your body and mark the ball behind you if possible, because if it fumbles, you're able to keep your feet and then rush it over the line. It's a small thing, but small things often matter in big games of footy.
Absolutely. I think today has been about the small things. Little simple, brilliant stuff. Fundamentally, that's just gone straight through the mitts.
The thoughts of Brownlow medalist Shane Woewode and Premiership Cat defender Harry Taylor talking about the defensive craft as another bounce is recalled and Lachie Neale just very casually strolls to go get the ball, taking his time, happy to just take a breather. As the ball's now thrown up in the air. Jackson tapped it down to Sarong, roved it beautifully, kicks a half forward, Schultz going back, takes a good mark on the chest. Has a man on the lead in the pocket, can't quite get it to Sturt. Bouncing ball, has to compete with Payne. Payne did well, got it to Archie, the Lions able to clear. McCarthy v Aish on the wing, McCarthy almost got the mark, couldn't. Aish back onto it, gave it to Johnson, good follow-up McCarthy. Caught the Freo sub in the tackle, ball up.
Work by Aish, engaged opponent real early.
Darcy Fort coming for a breather, so it'll be Tracy v Danaher in the ruck. Tracy tapped it down, but Archie takes it to the Lions, taking the ground. Ball up again. 1 point margin, 13 minutes played here. Round 21 action from Perth Stadium.
One down by Tracy for the Dockers. Trying to go and gather it himself. Couldn't. It's been held in here. There's McCluggage at the bottom of that. He'll throw it back to the umpire. Just shy of the centre wing position for the Lions. Danaher doing the ruck work. Palmed it down. Young tried to get there. Couldn't gather. McCarthy could, coming the other way, and then hand passed it straight over the boundary line. That's deliberate. Or insufficient intent. Take your pick. Same result. Free kick to the Dockers. Just forward of the interchange gates. Aish has it. Brisbane by a point. 13 gone in the final term. Aish for Fremantle. Kicks towards right half forward. Just goes inside forward 50. Andrews comes away with it. Down towards Bailey. Short hand pass to Leicester. Broke through and then got a kick away towards centre wing. It bounces for Hipwood to run onto it. Hand passes back for the Lions to Archie. At left half back, he'll go short and he'll find Zorko. And Zorko marks in front of the interchange gates. He'll send it long towards left half forward. Stretching and marking is Rayner. Rayner's got players coming forward. Gets a hand pass to Hipwood. 70 out from goal. He'll send it to the teeth of goal. They fly from everywhere. No mark taken. Pearce gathered the crumbs. Got a hand pass away to Walters. Hands it off to Erasmus. Kicks beyond defensive 50.
One-on-one contest. Gets out the back. Frederick pounces on it for Fremantle. Kicks on the left towards half forward. Perfectly weighted for Sturt. Payne was able to worry him out of it though. Oh, Sturt's second effort, brilliant. Caught him in a tackle. Then McKenna came through, was able to get away. The Lions can steady. Dunkley gives it back to a running McKenna. Into the middle to Rayner. Johnson closes him down, just able to stop momentum for the time being. Rayner switches it out wide to Archie. Has Danaher short. Still too far from home. Goes shorter again to Hipwood. So the two key forwards of the line standing next to each other. 85 from home. Hipwood eventually moves it. Kicks to the pocket. Oh, Cameron just did beautifully. Worked Clark off it. Protected the space. Took the mark. Did it oh so well. Will go back and have a chance to kick his third.
I'm not sure what Eric Hipwood was mentioning about then. He kept going on after Charlie had taken the mark.
As he does so often, will have to go around the corner. Does it often, normally does it well, this time short. Punched into the post by Luke Ryan. 9:10.64 the Lions, 9:8.62 the Dockers. 16 minutes played in the final term. Plenty on the line for Brisbane.
Luke Ryan beyond defensive 50. Finds Tracy, who marks in front of Danaher. He's at right half back for Fremantle. Steps inboard and looks to switch play. The kick had to be precise. Berry got there though as Erasmus waited. Follows up, he's spoiled. Berry gathers inside forward 50. Hands it off to Gunston. Got tackled. Ball jarred free. Umpire says play on. It's over the boundary line. Wagner gathered, got tackled across there. Ball up the call.
Have to do a lot right to get a insufficient intent or holding the ball these days, don't you? That was a great tackle from O'Meara.
Ball to be thrown in. Right forward pocket for Brisbane, who lead by 2 points. Danaher palmed it down, straight to Young, kicked into traffic, ball hit the deck. Young got a hand pass forward, comes as far as Berry, right half forward for the Lions. And he got legged by Switkowski. They'll take the advantage. McCluggage has it, 51 from goal. Centres the pass. What's Gunston? Diving out to his right. That's a fine mark. Jack Gunston can go back and for the first time in a long time give the Lions more than goal advantage.
Just doing the little things better than what Fremantle do in the last 5 minutes. But long switch across the ground, didn't need to do it. Just go long down the line, get yards.
Jack Gunston, he's right in front, 25 out. He kicks his seconds. He gives Brisbane an 8-point advantage at the 18-minute mark of the final quarter. 10-10-70 Brisbane. 9:8.62 the Dockers on Grandstand AFL. Before we hear from our experts, Harry Taylor and Shane Woden, Bridget Lacey's on the boundary.
I think we might be heading for one of those rare games where a team doesn't use their tactical sub. Dev Robertson's still sitting on the bench and they've made no moves to sub him in just yet.
It's a great call, Wowie. I've seen 3 examples of small things which Freo haven't done well and they've let their defenders down. There was one on the wing here where instead of manning the mark, Brennan Cox has just ran straight off and allowed Zorko to have an easy kick. We've seen a switch and we've seen a player up the field, I think it was Sturt, who's just put one hand up trying to go for the ball rather than engage with body and play the percentages.
A seesawing affair here in Perth, but the Lions now starting to maybe get on top, but this time the Dockers win it out of the middle. Sarong has to run backwards and retreat, but eventually able to get the kick to the wing and Henry takes the juggling mark. Goes short to Brayshaw.
Jackson was off for a while there too in that period where Brisbane scored on a couple of occasions and back on the ground.
Right in front of the interchange gates. Brisbane doing a good job up the field as he kicks towards half forward. Tracy couldn't take the mark, comes back to the Lions and Berry. High up and under to the wing. Cox reads it well for Fremantle, takes a great mark. Back in the side, back doing what he does best, Brennan Cox with a kick. Oh, set Sarong a task. Had to dive and dive and dive, but he got there. Takes the mark on centre wing. Goes short, further afield to O'Meara. Slow play by the Dockers. His kick short to Brayshaw. Haven't moved the ball very far, Fremantle. Brayshaw standing right in front of the interchange gates. Thinks about the long switch. Chooses not to. Now goes into the pocket. Coming across was Andrews. Couldn't clear the ball with a fist. Falls away at Jackson. Didn't know what to do with it. Just handballed it away. Now Bailey has it for the Lions and they're marching outside half-back. Berry breaks the Brayshaw tackle. Kicks it up towards the wing. Pearce drops the ball from behind. McCluggage comes through, taking in a strong tackle. The Dockers win it back. Knocked down by Archie. Oh, Wagner collected him, and it was high. Came through the bump, collected him, high tackle, free kick to Archie on the wing for Brisbane.
Archie to Rayner, who just makes his way onto the ground through the interchange gates. And he takes the mark. 20 minutes gone. Brisbane by 8 points over the Dockers. Final term at Perth Stadium. Rayner back to McKenna. Kicks into the centre square. Marking there Andrews. Zorko has run a long way to give him an option at left half back. That's where the kick goes. Zorko marks. Zorko wants someone to run towards him. Rayner presents an option short coming down the line. Zorko hits him on the chest. Rayner marks. Content to hold the football for a short time, Brisbane. Now Rayner kicks to a pack at left half forward. Brennan Cox stuck out the right arm. Saw it ricochet off his hand. And over for a boundary throw in. 37,845 in for Fremantle versus Brisbane at Perth Stadium. Ball spun in again. Jackson came out, tried to tap it down to Johnson, gathered it second time, picked it up off the deck and kicked towards right half forward. Ball's allowed to bounce. Corbett clever. Tapped to his own advantage once, then punches it forward. He'll chase it inside the forward 50, getting back there first, Starcevic. Sturt provided pressure. Starcevic is kicked out of bounds on the fall. Good pressure from Sturt on that occasion. Free kick to Switkowski. Sends it inside forward 50. Sturt had turned. He let up and he marks. 45 from goal, a metre in from the boundary in the right forward pocket.
Goodbye, Corbett. Won't get a stat, but kept the ball alive. Chaos ball, difficult to defend.
He has 2 goals today, Sam Sturt. 11 for the season. It's his toughest shot on goal. He'll start from beyond the boundary. Boots cross the boundary and the 50-metre arc. It's a lovely kick. What a goal! Bringing the Dockers back to within 2 points and bringing the crowd right back into the game as well. Tremendous goal. He's got his 3rd. Fremantle have their 10th. Brisbane are 10-10-70. Fremantle 10-8-68. 23 gone in the last. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
Darcy Fort's come to the bench for Brisbane. He looks to be cramping, so a few issues in the ruck for Brisbane, and Dev Robertson is going to get his chance to come onto the ground. He's just running on now, and I'll let you know in a sec who he's... I think it looks like Jasper Fletcher might be the unlucky player for Brisbane.
Tremendous finish by Sam Sturt as the Freo chant goes up around Perth Stadium. Earlier today, Melbourne by 32 over North and Carlton by 17 or 19 over St Kilda. Right now it's a 2-point margin the way of the Lions. In time on in the fourth quarter.
Didn't check him, Starcevic, on the tick back. Big goal.
Terrific finish by Sam Sturt as Luke Jackson taps it down. Neal able to shark it. Bouncing ball towards half forward was knocked around. Jackson went and got it back. Gave it to Sarong. Quick hands out wide to Johnson. Worked his way through traffic. Got it to Brayshaw on the wing. Chose not to use Young coming past. Now kicks towards half forward. Going backwards, Walters couldn't mark. Pryor did well. His kick smothered by Tracy. Johnson gathers. Sees it out of bounds. The crowd cheers for the Tracy smother. A ball in just forward of centre wing for the Dockers. 24 and a half played. They trailed the Lions by 2.
Ball spun in. Danaher up against Jackson. Danaher got the touch. It went to ground. O'Meara was able to get a hand pass into traffic though. Dunkley emerges with it. His hand pass in the direction of Neal. Gathers the footy. Gets a kick away down the outer wing. Hitwood's done well. Allowed it to turn and then couldn't quite get back to it before it bounced across the boundary line. It's at right half forward for Brisbane. They lead by 2 points. 70-68. 10-10 plays 10-8. 25 minutes gone in the last term. Spun in again. Danaher just moved Jackson out of the way and gained clean possession. Got a short kick, not far enough to be a mark to Zorko. Spilled out to Ryan. Pressure came from Rayner. Just got the hand pass away to Pearce. Desperate play here from Fremantle. Great pressure from the Lions. Robertson applied it against Clark. Had to slap it out to Switkowski. Back to Henry. Tackled high, was it? Yes, holding the ball. It's gone the way of the Lions to McCarthy. They play on quickly and they spot Danaher all on his own at full forward. Or Hipwood rather, all on his own at full forward. And he can go back and take a shot from pretty much right in front. He'll put boot to ball from 35 out. The pressure was immense. Yep. Robertson involved, handed it off, and then getting it, Hipwood should go back and kick the goal.
Great pressure by Brisbane. Just were at the ball carrier the whole time. Forced a turnover.
Here's Hipwood on his way in, looking for his first goal of the game. Sends it towards goal. He punches the air before it's gone between the big sticks. Brisbane's lead back out to 8 points. 26 gone in the last. The Lions 11-10-76 to 10-8-68. The Dockers on Grandstand AFL.
Good squeeze by Dev Robertson on Henry the first time. Just forced the fumble at ground level. Maybe that's just fresh legs when he equalised on him, but yeah, good pressure by Brisbane.
Lincoln McCarthy's probably a little bit unheralded around the competition, but he's had such a big impact on this game, and he's a really important cog in Brisbane's forward line. 8 tackles, 17 disposals, and we've seen him take some really good contested marks. Plays above his height in terms of marking, and a really big influence in this game.
Still plenty of time left for the Dockers to mount a challenge, but the Lions are up for it. They lead by 8 points. Ball back underway in the middle. Danaher dragged down by Jackson. Didn't have it. Will win a free kick. Clock stops as Danaher goes to collect. Standing in the middle of the ground. Just wants to pump it long inside 50. Here come the Flyers. Hipwood has to punch from the back. Had his hand over the shoulder of Alex Pearce. The Dockers skipper will win the free. Uses the run of Clark coming past. Gave the hands. Kicks it back towards Jackson and Danaher. Jackson got a hand in there. Schultz roved it for the Dockers. Gave it to Switkowski. Jackson got forward of the ball. Oh, couldn't gather on the bounce. McCluggage pushed him off it. Now slaps the ball out to Starcevic, and now Dunkley, the Lions have it back. And they go wide. The sub, Deb Robertson, has it at right half back. The Lions still lead by 8. 28 minutes played. Final quarter.
So Brisbane is looking to run the clock down now. Leicester has it. Wanted someone to come towards him, but he's spotted a teammate in short in Robertson.
Just shut this down now, Brisbane. Contested marks own the footy. Take time off the clock.
Robertson will kick high and long. There'll be a packet right half forward. Leaping up, Gunston couldn't mark. Hipwood emerge with it. Trying to hand pass back into traffic to Neal. Ball's still there to be won. Neal win a second time. Brayshaw picks it up for the Dockers to Sarong. Steps away from his opponents. Back to Brayshaw. Having to backtrack. He's able to find Clark. Oh, couldn't mark it. He's under pressure again. Bailey chased him. Got the hand pass back though. Got it to Ryan. Henry's all on his own on the commentary wing. The ball comes his way. He marks and plays on. Kicks to right half forward. Mark there taken by Amos. He'll send it inside forward 50. Walters out after it. Coming across in front. The Lions win it down. Spilled out there to Switkowski. Now it's to Frederick. Right forward pocket. Oh, that's unbelievable. Michael Frederick. He curled it around at the outside of the right boot. What a goal to keep Fremantle in this game. The Dockers with their 11th. It's back to a 2-point ball game. Brisbane 11-10-76. Fremantle 11-8-74. Top shelf finish from Frederick for his second.
Well done, Switkowski. Ground level. 101 Crumb. Haven't done that really well today, Fremantle. At ground level inside forward 50. And great contest by Walters too, just to bring that to ground.
Yeah, great call, outstanding finish.
Very good.
Wrong side of the body. That is a hell of a goal with exciting finish here.
Yeah, Brayshaw, Clark, Henry off halfback, change lanes.
Michael Frederick with a ripper brings the Perth crowd to its feet as Sarong dives in, taken in a tackle. Will be a ball up. Freo might be up and about, but the Lions still lead by 2 points. 30 minutes played. Sarong taken in a tackle. Fed the handball back to Clark. Now Young. Backtracking, kicks it towards half forward. Flying in the back. Schultz can't mark. Coming through Brayshaw. Able to take it on the second gather. Sarong, a dribbler inside 50, goes straight to Andrews. And his clearing kick has a man in Hipwood all on his own on the wing. 31 minutes played. The Lions lead by 2 points. And they're happy to just chip the ball around on the wing and take the seconds off the clock.
They'll spend as long as they can in possession. Hipwood thumps it towards right half forward. They fly from everywhere. Spilled down for the Dockers. It comes out again towards Danaher. Danaher kicks and misses. Is there time for 1-4-8 forward? It's a 3-point ball game.
Clark plays on and goes long. Down the middle, Walters flies, can't mark. The ball ends up with Young, but it doesn't matter. It's too late. And after a stumble in the Q crash last week, the Lions come roaring back in Perth. They take the win. They get the job done over the Dockers by 3 points in a hard stopper to finish round 21. They keep their spot in the top 4.
Brisbane victorious by 3 points. The goal kickers for the Lions, 2 to Danaher, 2 to Gunston, 2 to Cameron. Singles to Archie, McCluggage, Berry, McCarthy and Hipwood. While for Fremantle, 3 to Sturt, 2 to Schultz. Singles to Jackson, Corbett, Amos, Tracy and 2 goals to Michael Frederick. The last goal he kicked, an absolute beauty. 2 games in a row now, Frederick, with stunning goals, but that will be of scant consolation to Fremantle, who led at 4 points at quarter time, by 11 at the half. Scores were even at three-quarter time. Brisbane prevailing by 3 points. Not enough for the Lions to go into second spot on the ladder because of percentage. Melbourne's bigger win against North sees Collingwood on top, Melbourne in second, Brisbane move to third. Port Adelaide are in fourth. Collingwood with 64 points, Melbourne, Brisbane, Port Adelaide all on 56, separated by percentage. And then the Blues win today over the Saints sees them climb to fifth, St Kilda dropping to seventh, Bulldogs in sixth, GWS in eighth. Brisbane by 3 points here. Great way to wrap up round 21. Almost another shock. It was a cracking game of football. Shane Woden, Harry Taylor.
Yeah, great game. And the game's built on moments, isn't it? And I just thought, particularly in the fourth, Brisbane were better in the moments and those smaller things to make the difference. One not to get in field position or the fundamentals, and just did enough to fall over the line at the end.
Yeah, I think Freo just need to work really hard around the margins. These things, the small things, the fundamentals, that's where they need to spend a lot of their training. The processes around training need to really shine the light on that stuff.
Yep.
We keep hearing Fremantle looking for consistency. The coaching staff have been preaching that message for a while. You can find consistency by working really hard on those fundamentals, because it keeps you in games. It keeps you involved. It becomes predictable, sure, for the opposition, but more importantly, it becomes predictable for your teammates. You know where the ball's going to be. You know what to expect from a stoppage, setup, from a spoil, from a kick-in. It's these little things that are probably just costing Freo a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Little brain fades. Like even with the Gunston goal, when they shifted at fat side, marked it in top of the goal square, I saw Liam Henry collapses the fat side winger right over to the stoppage. Now, whether or not that's an instruction from the coach, I would have thought he would have held his width there, and he actually probably takes that mark on his chest. But he decided to go down off Archie, and sure enough, Gunston marks at fat side of the ground. So, yeah, you're right. Fundamental, small things, little moments in the game, and they did enough. It was a great contest. You couldn't separate them statistically across the day. It was a really hard-fought affair, but just did enough Brisbane to hang on.
Big win for Brisbane.
Massive.
Coming over here, really important for their season. I think Freo supporters should be really happy with the centre bounce work today. Against a quality opposition, I thought Freo at times were terrific in the centre bounce. Perhaps late, not quite as astute, but certainly for 3 quarters, they look really dangerous in there. And if you're a young up-and-coming forward, you should be also pretty excited about that midfield group, because the ball was coming out at times with relative ease, and making your life as a forward a lot easier.
And we haven't seen really Johnson, Erasmus. They're inside mids growing up, but they're spending their time more so outside the square in their first part of their career. But in time, they will grow and get stronger and bigger and build on their craft and be able to go in there and support the midfield group.
And they won the clearance count today, Fremantle, 43-39, and they won the hit-out count 50-41. And we've sat here before in this box and watched them win the hit-out count and not win the clearance count, but they did today. But Brisbane, as you say, were brilliant when that mattered most. They trailed by as much as 17 points to Lions in that third quarter and were able to come back and get the win by 3 points. And as Clint said, not quite enough to jump to second. They're about 1% behind on the ladder there. They would have come here today thinking they're a good chance to jump into second, but it's going to be a hot finish these last 3 games. It's so close in that, not just the 4, but the top 12 teams. Carlton go from 9th to 5th today on the back of that 19-point win over Carlton. So plenty to play out across the last 3 games of the season.
Brisbane games to come. Adelaide at the Gabatoir, Collingwood at the Docklands, and then St Kilda back at the Gabba as well.
Not an easy run home.
Nope.
With any of them. That's probably the most even contribution from a Brisbane outfit I've seen for a little while. Across the board as a team, no real standouts today. No one really took the game by the scruff and said, righto, jump on my back, I'm going to carry you.
Well, great response, though, from the way that they played last week.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a terrific response for the Lions.
I think they knew internally they had to respond.
As you say, no standout performers, but the disposal getters for both sides. For the Lions, Jared Berry led the way with 28. Lockie Neal got himself to 25. Averages 30 against Fremantle, so they'll probably be happy with the ability to limit him today. Hugh McCluggage and Zach Bailey, both 22 touches. Dane Zorko with 20 for the Dockers. Caleb Sarong, 35 disposals to go with his 10 clearances and 7 tackles. Hayden Young and Andrew Brayshaw, 29 apiece. Liam Henry and Luke Jackson, both with 24. Jackson also with the 44 hit-outs and a goal. So just say that looking across the Brisbane numbers, was a very even performance. As normally you expect a Lockie Neal or a McCluggage or even a Zorko when he's playing in the middle to rack up those big numbers, but nothing really standing out today on the stat sheet.
Not really. Berry was probably their best across the 4 quarters of the day. Others had periods, but they weren't really standouts, and which I think will please Chris Fagan across the group, that his team as a group took the 4 points. That's a big win for him. Obviously, the standing of where they sit right now on the ladder, and they'll be wanting to finish second to make sure they get that first home final at the Gabba.
Ground dimensions, are we talking Perth Stadium being very similar to the MCG or slightly different?
Slightly different. It's sort of halfway between the Docklands and the MCG.
It's only the 5th time they've played here, and all against the Dockers. They've never played West Coast here, but
which is that weird.
Really?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
People talk
3
about
and
it
2
on
now.
Sports Talk all the time. Why do Brisbane never come west to play West Coast? The answer is we don't know. But they have come west and they've got a win, and they're down in the rooms where Bridget Lacey is waiting for us.
Yeah, very happy team down here. A few family and friends have gathered, including, of course, long-time Fremantle assistant coach Michael Pryor, whose son plays for Brisbane, of course, now. But not the biggest crowd we've ever seen in the visitors' rooms, but certainly a very happy bunch today. Here we go. Chatting to Lockie Neal very shortly.
Always good to chat to Lockie Neal, favourite of ours on Grandstand AFL here. I think we spoke to him when he was at Fremantle about every third home game. So it'd be good to have a yak with him again. And
Christian medalist? You'd know better than me.
Yeah, in the past, definitely. A couple of
his
times.
Doig medal year?
Couple. Yeah.
One of his Doig medal years.
He's a star.
He is an absolute superstar. Yeah. Rate his performance today after a good start with Fremantle. We're closing him down with Hayden Young. How did you see that battle in the end?
Yeah, it was a slow start from him, but he built him into the game and didn't let it fluster him at all, which I think that's a great sign of a great player, isn't it? You just, righto, yep, this is going to be my day and I have to fight through this, and which I thought he did really well and built his game as he went on.
Speaking of him, he's downstairs with Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, lucky enough to have Lockie Neal back with us, back in the West, and back winning against your old team. Lockie, that's your first win against Fremantle in Perth since you left.
It is. I was crook last time that we won here a couple of years ago. I think the first time I came back in 2019, Sonny Walters, my old mate, kicked a point after the siren to win it for him, and then last year I think we got done pretty easily. So yeah, really relieved actually just to be on the winning side this time. It was an absolute grind, and yeah, they're a pretty good team. They're probably the best 15th side on the ladder that I've ever played against. So I think they're going to be a really good team next year. They're young and coming, and they lost a bit of experience this year. So I think they'll be a great team for the next few years.
We know you wanted to bounce back today, but it certainly wasn't easy. What were your thoughts in that last quarter and throughout the game? It was seesawing, wasn't it? But were you confident you were going to get over the line there?
We've practiced a lot on our late game execution the last few weeks after that Melbourne loss that we had. So, yeah, confident in our plan, and we executed it quite well. I think Frederick kicked that goal, a banana from the boundary, which credit to him, that's an amazing kick. But to be able to refocus and sort of lock down that last minute and a half, I thought we executed pretty well.
And yourself, you've copped a couple of rough weeks in terms of attention out there, but today you got Hayden Young, which is a bit of a different opponent, I guess. How did you find that tussle with the young player?
Yeah, he's going to be a superstar. He played me quite differently to everyone else that's ever tagged me. It wasn't a hard tag, he was just sort of trying to get to me at stoppage, but unlike a lot of others, he was trying to win that first possession and take the front and really own the space in front of me, which I thought he did really well for the first half in particular, and I thought I was able to build into the game a little bit and influence it at the end. But yeah, early on he was all over me. I think he had 9 or 10 or something in the first quarter, and I was struggling a bit, but I just had to work my way through what was happening and sort of learn from it and build throughout the game, which I thought I was able to do.
It's experience, I suppose, Lockie. You don't panic in those situations?
Nah, not at all. And I was really disappointed in my performance last week against Took, and probably didn't handle that very well. I was wrestling with him for probably half the game, and once I was doing that, he's fitter than me, so I couldn't go with him. And yeah, I thought he played me really well last week, and I was pretty dirty on myself, so I probably didn't expect that a tag against Gold Coast So that was a good lesson to sort of prepare for anything. So I did my homework this week and knew that I'd probably get Young or Aish and really studied up on it. He was excellent against Dangerfield last week, so I thought they might give him another challenge.
Send you upstairs for some questions. We've got Clint Wilden, Mitch Turner, Harry Taylor and Shane Woden.
Harry Taylor to kick it off here, Lockie. Well done, mate. Great game. Just interested if you could take the listeners into what preparation looks like for you as a sort of dominant midfielder. How do you prepare for someone sort of living in your back pocket for a couple of hours every single week?
Yeah, I think for me, Harry, I usually will watch the last probably 3 games that the opposition have played, not the whole game, but for me as a midfielder, I look at their stoppages, so centre bounce, throw-ins and ball-ups, and try and get a read on their patterns and their setups. And then as an individual, I look at guys that might tag. So I'll spend basically probably an hour and a half watching all the stoppages, and then Hayden and what he did last week, and then I watched what Aish has done in the past on Clayton Oliver. I think he's gone to him a couple of times and done a really good job. So I studied up a little bit on the individuals. So, for instance, I knew that Sarong, he likes to be the Hitsu a lot of the time, so I was trying to sort of interrupt his patterns a couple of times and try a few different things throughout the game. And I didn't do that against Gold Coast. I was just presuming that with a new coach they'd just go out and play, and I got that wrong. So it was a good lesson for me, and I sort of pride myself on doing my homework and being prepared for anything, and let myself and the team down last week. So studied up this week.
Lockett, Shane Woden, well done, mate. It's a great win over here. Mate, take us through the mindset. Like you spoke about where your mind was, quarter time, half time with Took Miller, and where you're going there. Then the flip and the talk to yourself during the week and the mental side of the game, and even at quarter time today against Youngie, and then to not get flustered. Where does your mind go, and how do you get yourself out of that?
Yeah, I've been in enough situations where I sort of have got frustrated in the past. I've learned. Last week I feel like I don't usually play like that, so it was a really good lesson. And sometimes that happens throughout your career. But I knew at quarter time I didn't start very well, and he was getting involved in their play a fair bit. But in the first quarter as well, I just try and read what the tag is like a little bit. I knew he was giving me a bit of room in general play. It was more of a stoppage tag and then play a little bit. So you just try and figure out ways you can get free. Try and work with my teammates. I started going to their winger a little bit. So in the last quarter, O'Meara was actually sitting at their skinny wing spot, and I'd go to him and try and free myself up a little bit that way. Dunks was trying to get to Hayden Young at times as well to free me up. So you just try little things throughout the game to get a bit of separation. I actually fumbled probably 3 or 4 times tonight as well, which cost me a few clearances and a couple of touches as well. So I'll get to work on that this week.
Talk us through the week. Was it a really player-driven week after the performance? I know the group would have been really disappointed in how you went about last week, but the coaches wouldn't have had to say much, I wouldn't have thought.
Nah, Fags didn't say much at all, really. And as players, we spoke about it pre-game today as well, that it's not what we stand for, and we probably went into that game with a poor mindset. This competition, you see how even it is. Hawthorn beating Collingwood. We've been beaten by Hawthorn as well, and Gold Coast. Round 1 we didn't turn up, we got smacked, so we're learning these lessons along the way. You'd like them not to happen, but the players really dug deep today, and we wanted to make amends for what was a disappointing day for our club last week, and our fans and members who sort of expect us to perform a lot better than what we did. So I thought, although it wasn't pretty today, we came with the right attitude, and pre-game there was really good vibes. We were ready to go, and I thought our start was decent. We couldn't quite capitalise in the first quarter, but really proud of the guys for coming with that mindset in a hostile environment over here.
Lockie, Mitch Turner here, mate. Obviously you had the disappointing loss last week, but a good performance today and a good season overall. You've been close the past few years. You've been right up there. Are you confident that you've learnt the lessons and this group's made the changes that it takes to finally go all the way and get over that last hurdle and win the last game of the year at the MCG?
Yeah, we certainly feel our best can beat anyone. It rivals the best in the competition in Collingwood and Melbourne and Port Adelaide. We saw that a few weeks ago against Melbourne. Our best footy was really good at the MCG. We beat Collingwood earlier in the year, and we've got them in a couple of weeks, which will be exciting. We've got Adelaide next week, who are playing some really good footy. So I think this year as well, it's so open. I feel like there's 8, 9 teams that could win it if they hit form at the right time. So we're trying to just build and play consistent footy for the next month and head into finals feeling really good about where we're at. Last year we were pretty inconsistent in the back half of the year, and that probably showed in our finals series. We had a really close win, or probably both of our finals were close wins, and then we got smacked in the prelim, which should have summed up our back half of the year last year. So we're just trying to build consistent four-quarter efforts, which we know you have to do to win finals.
Lockie, Clint Wilden, congratulations on the win. You mentioned the MCG, but you don't get another opportunity to go there for the rest of this year, and it is the question mark for all interstate clubs about the ability to win at the MCG, and I imagine particularly for Brisbane as well. Do you think there needs to be more done for the interstate clubs to play more games at the place where you need to go to win a grand final?
We'd certainly love to play there more, but it's part of it. I sort of feel like for us, we have a massive advantage at the Gabba, and teams probably think that's unfair. Like, they've got to share their home ground with other Melbourne teams, the Marvel and MCG. The Melbourne teams sort of don't get as big of an advantage at home as compared to what interstate clubs do. So I reckon it is what it is. I love the MCG. I'd love to be holding up a cup last day of September there. So I'd love to play there more as well, but I understand the fixture and why it is as it is.
You're up into third. Well done. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Good on you. Lockie Neal, Brownlow medalist, downstairs with us here on Grandstand AFL. Always terrific to have a chat with him. Anything else leap off the page? You mentioned before that it was a very even contribution from Brisbane today. They got the job done. Nervous moments at the end for them, and I reckon they would have been concerned at stages throughout the game. But before we focus a little bit more on Freo, anything else stand out for you from the Lions today, gents? Shane, Harry?
I don't think they're playing their greatest footy. I think they do struggle away from home. Also, we know the fortress of the Gabba, they play such an exciting brand. The Gabba is very different to play on for all our listeners.
Why so?
It's a quicker deck to play on. They've got the cricket pitch. So I know when I was up there and we were coaching, the ball bounces higher. So then when the ball hits hands and then it spills further away. So it doesn't necessarily stay in and get repeat stoppages. And it's very quick to get through the middle of the ground. It just plays a lot faster than what most other grounds do.
Well, they're 9-0 at the Gabba this year. With that win today, they're 5-6 away. So a losing record on the road. It's fun. The stats show they're actually the highest scoring team on the road in the competition. They just can't stop other sides scoring. This is the unfortunate thing.
And they've worked really hard defensively this year. Chris Fagan's been very bullish about that. Was an area they had to get to work at pre-season, and their team defence. Bit of a leaking sieve last year, so I think they've tidied that area of their game up. But you're right, he's just got to be able to do it in Melbourne.
One question that I was keen to ask, but we got the wrap up from downstairs. And I wonder whether this is just an interstate perspective. I know Chris Fagan has played this comment down during the week and said, it's just something for you guys to talk about. But do they need to finish top two? Because if they finish top two and they have a prelim at the Gabba, they win that. Well, they win a qualifying at the Gabba, they have a prelim at the Gabba, they'll win both of those, and then you're into a grand final. But then the issue of that is, of course, you're back to the MCG without any opportunity to work at the MCG. Do they need to finish top two, Brisbane?
I would think so.
Yeah, I'd agree. They're in, I think, their phase where just getting to the grand final would be such a big thing for them. They've been close for so often. Just getting to that game will be such a big achievement for them. And obviously playing some home finals is a big coup for them. So top two, it's percentage at the moment, but they should really focus hard on trying to make sure that that's guaranteed.
Yep.
Just makes you think back to 2020, doesn't it? When they had the Gabba locked in as the grand final venue, did they? It's the question Lions fans don't like to ask or be asked, but did they blow their chance in 2020 when they had the home grand final at a ground that they have such a dominant record at?
I reckon the team that won,
it'll keep them up.
And the bloke that got him over the line, Justin Martin, might have had a bit to say about that anyway. It is a valid question, though. They are so good at home.
Was it 19 with GWS where they got beaten 2 in a prelim up? Was it a prelim up there?
Yeah, yep.
So they've had their opportunities.
Giants made the grand final in 19.
They did.
Yep, that's right.
wasn't prelim. I think it was
the Giants beat Collingwood.
Collingwood in the prelim, which was only a 2 or 3 point margin at the G. I know it went down right to the last seconds.
A whole host of stars too that day as well.
I think they need the Gabba.
I think they need the Gabba as well.
Yeah. But do Port need Adelaide Oval? Is that such a big advantage to them?
I don't think it's as big for them.
Not as big? No. Still big?
Still big, absolutely.
Yeah.
50,000 roaring South Australians going at you.
It's going to be interesting.
Talk to me about Luke Jackson's game today. On the wrong side of the result, but I thought he was terrific around the ground.
Yeah, we'll get to the vote shortly, but I think anyone watching today, anyone listening to our call should be pretty happy with how Luke Jackson's developing. I know there was some commentary, generally pretty negative commentary to begin with, around how he was performing. Remember back to the marking situation and the dollars are associated with each mark he was taking.
I couldn't cop that. It was that's not what he was brought here to do. He wasn't a marking contested player anyway, and then you're criticising him for not taking marks. Like, well, how did that come as a shock?
Yeah, he's a basketballer.
Really? Got a basketball background, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The old Scott Pendlebury line.
Yeah.
Just his follow-up.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so hard to find players that can do that.
Yeah. The numbers for Jackson today, 24 disposals, 437 metres gained, which is a lot for a ruckman. 5 marks, 6 inside 50s, 44 hit-outs, 5 clearances, 6 tackles, and a goal. He literally did everything today.
10 ground ball gets, second on the ground.
Yeah.
Behind Hayden Young.
I thought he was enormous.
Yeah. His job, he wants to get it on the ground so he can get after it and be an extra mid around the ground.
And he gets forward so quickly. Like the amount of times he ends up on the end of a handball chain when he was involved in the contest, you just wonder how he gets out.
It's tough to criticise him, but you'd think if he'd just been able to take that opportunity right in front when he smashed it into the post. Yep. But everything else he did was terrific.
That left foot snap, he should have taken the opportunity, have a crack at it rather than try and look for another handball. We had the open, shoulders were out, it was there.
We're being picky. You're right. We're being picky, but he was enormous.
Brilliant performance.
We gone through all the other stats. I know you ran through some of the top possession getters. Anything else we need to know about there, Mitch?
I have gone through most of the stats. We can keep digging if you like. We can go through the goal kickers again, just for everyone listening who may have missed it. So for the Dockers, Sam Sturt kicking 3 goals, leading the way. 2 goals to both Michael Frederick and Michael Walters, and singles to Jai Amos, Josh Tracy, Josh Corbett, and Luke Jackson, of course, for the Lions. Multiple goal kickers for them. 2 goals apiece to Joe Danaher, Charlie Cameron, Jack Gunston. Singles to Callum Archie, Eric Hipwood, Lincoln McCarthy, Hugh McCluggage, and Jared Berry. Midfielders kicking goals for the Lions there, Jared Berry and Hugh McCluggage. Hugh McCluggage, not the best kick in front of goal over the past few seasons. It's probably the one thing he does, I wouldn't say poorly, but not as well as the other things he does, Hugh McCluggage. So terrific there. But yeah, the stats kind of going the way of Fremantle in a lot of areas. They ended up winning the contested possession count by 2, which is obviously a key indicator for them, 133 to 131. They won the total disposals, 360 to 341. As you were alluding to and you were pointing out during the call, Shane and Harry, the handball ratio, so 198 kicks for Fremantle, 162 handballs for the Lions, 227 kicks, 114 handballs. So certainly the two styles of play going kind of head-to-head there as we kind of see. And more marks for the Lions as well, 120 marks compared to Fremantle's 79 marks as well. Both teams with 10 marks inside forward 50, so plenty of targets there as we get ready to head downstairs.
Going to speak to a person who got a career high or career equal high of 3 goals today, Sam Sturt. On the wrong side of the result today, if you've just tuned in, Brisbane by 3 points, 11-11-77 to Fremantle's 11-8-74. It was a thriller, the Lions getting up over the Dockers earlier today. Carlton by 19 points, 10-13-73 to the Saints, 8-6-54. And Melbourne by 32 over North, 15-13-103 to North Melbourne, 10-11-71. Let's head downstairs. Bridget Lacey.
Thanks, Clint. Lucky enough to have Sam Sturt from Fremantle with me. Sam, obviously not the result you wanted today, but it was a really tough contest. You take a fair bit out of it regardless of the result.
Yeah, exactly. Not the result we were after, but I think we fought it out really well. Our contest all day was really good. Yeah, it was just a bit of composure with the ball in the last quarter and a few shallow entries earlier in the game, which probably allowed them to bounce off that and score a bit. So, yeah.
And for yourself, leading goal scorer today with the 3 goals, and they were none of them were easy. You must have been pleased with that, but also with some of your defensive work. A great smother was one standout moment for you as well.
Yeah, it's always nice to kick straight, tie off the work, but the defensive stuff's something I've worked really hard on, and I pride myself on that part of the game. So yeah, it was good to lay a few smothers and a few tackles.
What do you want to get out of the rest of the year, both personally and as a team?
I think we're just going to build on our consistency in the contest especially. So, yeah, just really focus on what we have to bring against West Coast next week and then for the rest of the season. So.
Hurry upstairs for some questions. We've got Clint Wilden, Mitch Turner, Harry Taylor and Shane Woden.
Sam, Harry Taylor here. Just a little bit more on that goal kicking. Your technique looks really sound. Looks like it's going to hold up under pressure. Just take the listeners sort of into your weekly routine and what it looks like in front of the big sticks.
Yeah, obviously I practice quite a bit on my routine, especially in the pre-season. So it's mainly just in season, just working on it at training. I have a set routine, which I use. I don't have a specific amount of steps, but it's just whatever feels comfortable, to be honest.
And how are you going with the rest of the forward group? You're finding your feet. It looks like you're becoming a little bit more consistent in terms of your output in games. How are you going with the chemistry with the rest of the lads up there?
Yeah, obviously playing a few games together definitely helps with the chemistry. I think we're going pretty well now. Maybe earlier in the season we were lacking a bit of that, but I think, yeah, especially Jai Miss and Josh Treacy down there, so I work pretty closely with them.
Sam, commiserations on today, mate. It's Shane Woden here. For yourself too, mate, I suppose the consistency and just getting out in the park week in, week out. You know, you've had a few injuries over the journey too in early parts of your career, but just now being on the park regularly and finding the feet, you're just consistent AFL performer right now.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Definitely the consistency at AFL level comes with games. So I'm lucky enough to play a few games in a row the late part of this season, so hopefully that continues and my body holds up.
Mate, was that JL's take on the game? Have you had your meeting already with regards to shallow entries earlier and just a bit of composure with ball?
Yeah, we had our meeting and that's exactly what he said. So he said he thought in the contest we were really strong and there are a few parts of the game that we can work on, especially those shallow entries.
Sam, Mitch Turner here. You mentioned the work on your defensive side of the game that you've done. Justin Longmuir kind of challenged you last year, and he did it quite publicly as well, and challenged your intensity and said that's kind of what you need to work on to get back in the side. How hard was it for you to readjust, refocus and find that intensity? Because you were playing some good waffle footy, but you just couldn't find your spot in the side.
Yeah, it was definitely hard, but I think JL knows how to get the best out of me, and to challenge me like that, he definitely did. Worked really hard in the pre-season, and obviously last year I wasn't defending the way I wanted or the way the club wanted, so it was just something I had a really big focus on going into this year, and I was lucky enough to get a few games.
Sam, Clint Wilden, Derby 57 next week. I think it's Derby 1 for you.
Hopefully, yeah.
Ooh, how much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, if everything goes to plan, it should be a great game. So I've always wanted to play in a derby the whole time I've been here. So, yeah, if I'm lucky enough to get selected, I'll definitely be looking forward to it.
What is the extra hype and excitement? And you've been around the club but not involved in one. But for a derby, the fans are up and about. I know people outside of the state don't quite get it. But for those within the club, what does it mean, a derby?
Yeah, it means a lot. I think publicly the Eagles have said that we're the younger brother, so that's what we focus on during the week. Obviously the younger brother wants to knock off the older brother. So that's what we'll be going to next week with.
Congratulations on your form. Well done on a career high, equaling 3 goals today, and we hope we see you out there for the Derby next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sam Sturt downstairs for the Fremantle Dockers, joining us after the Dockers went down by 3 points to the Brisbane Lions in front of 37,845 people. Brisbane by 3 points. Repeating those other schools, Carlton by 19 over the Saints, Melbourne by 32 against North. We've got the MRO findings in just a second. But before that, and before we also hear a little bit from Chris Fagan, the Brisbane coach, so I don't forget today, let's get the ABC Footballer of the Year votes and the Christian Medal votes as well. Who's in charge? Harry, is it you?
Harry started writing them down.
I did. This is a tough one today.
Oh, yeah.
This was a really tough one. And it doesn't feel quite right, but we don't have a Brisbane player in the votes.
That's outrageous.
Isn't it?
Good luck trying to pick a...
I agree. I was thinking about them doing the votes, and I thought, I wonder if they'll put a Brisbane player in, because the two best in the ground were clearly Dockers, and I wonder who they're going to be.
I don't dispute that.
I think with the three most influential players we think on the ground are Fremantle players.
I'll get Quentin Hall in the Grandstand AFL team to give you a call during the week.
We'll mute him on the meeting tomorrow.
Exactly.
Grill me on Monday when the Coaches Association votes come out.
It was really tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely today.
We thought Jackson was outstanding all game, had a really big influence, so 3 votes to Jackson. Young, particularly influential early, had obviously a really tough matchup, but thought his dedication to task was fantastic, so 2 votes to him. And Sarong, who just built as the game went on, ended up with 35 disposals, 351 metres gained, 9 clearances, 7 tackles, throw in 9 ground ball gets there. He had a really big influence in the second half, so it does feel weird.
It does, yeah, it certainly does, but their body of work over the 4 quarters, I thought, that's where it was. No excuses. No, that's what Chuck decided to go with.
No, stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Can I point out, Shane played with Collingwood and Melbourne. Harry played with Geelong. There's no Fremantle bias in the box from our experts.
Shane coached at Brisbane, so
that's true.
If anything, he'd be pulling the bias the other way, but the numbers just don't jump out.
No.
I agree with Jackson and Young.
Yeah,
100%.
Real team performance by Brisbane today. Real team performance. They all contributed in their own ways, but just better in the moments to get them over the line.
I look forward to our meeting tomorrow with what Quentin will say from the Queensland side of things.
We'll mute it.
We will. Let's have a little listen. Chris Fagan speaking downstairs to the assembled media. Here is the Brisbane coach.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. What were your thoughts on the match?
Well, it's a tough old game, wasn't it? Tough and tight all day. Thought it would be. They were impressive last week, Fremantle, and they're a young team and they're an up-and-coming team, and they would have got a lot of confidence from that, and they would have no doubt set themselves fast today, and you could tell that they did. So, we didn't play great, and we had a lot of players down, but we found a way to win on the road, which is pleasing. So that's probably what I'd say about it.
And what was going through your mind when Frederick kicked that late goal and got it back to
well, we've had a few closies lately. We had a 1-point game with Melbourne, and Geelong game got a little bit tight a few weeks ago, and so I was really just pleased with the way, with a minute and a half to go, we responded with the strategic stuff that we worked on. So that's all we focused on, and it worked out pretty well. But no, it was a really good goal by him. I was hoping it hit the post or something like that, but wasn't to be. But I thought our composure was pretty good in that last minute and a half.
When you did have players, I guess some of your better players down for periods of the game, what do you think it was that helped you, I guess, not let the margin get away from you?
Oh, our boys are pretty determined to win today. They dug deep. I mean, guys like Lockie Neal and say Josh Dunkley, probably they didn't have good first halves, but if you have a look at their last quarters, they were pretty big. And I think that's just a good sign of great leadership. They sensed the moment and lifted themselves. And Dev Robertson, local lad, comes on as a sub in the last 10 minutes, made a difference. So, no, there was a tremendous determination amongst the group to win today. We didn't play our best footy. It looked like we were battling with ourselves, we were fumbling. When I say battling with ourselves, battling with our minds during the game. We couldn't really get to play any of our really good footy, but we just stuck at it and ground it out, and here we are with 14 wins and 3 games to go, and we're in a good position to challenge. So hopefully we get a lot of confidence from it in a strange sort of a way. We won't when we look at the tape, but we will just because we hung in.
After Lockie last week,
Sorry, mate?
after Lockie being tagged last week, Hayden Young going to him really closely in the first quarter and negating him well in that first term. How important is it to him for his own mind to have that last quarter with 4 clearances, 9 touches?
No, it's good for him, but we must remember this. Lockie Neal gets tagged most weeks. We only take notice when the tagger does a good job and we make a big song and dance about it. We never actually give Lockie a pat on the back when he gets tagged and plays a great game. And that's not a criticism of you guys, because it's big news when Lockie Neal doesn't get many touches. But to be truthful, I reckon Lockie gets tagged every second week in different ways. So, but no, the answer to your question, the fact that he was able to hang in there and tough it out in the last quarter and produce what he did was great.
What was driving that burning desire you talk about? Was it having the results that give you a chance at second? Was it losing to Gold Coast last week? What was... You mentioned it a couple of times that there was a real...
I think winning on the road is important. I think winning when you don't play well is good as well, because we didn't play great today. So, yeah, those things mostly, I think.
I think I was talking about, you were saying a couple of plays before the game, there was a real desire today, a real burning desire among the playing group for today's game.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what drove...
We were disappointed about last week. Yeah. We clearly want to finish as high on the ladder as we can. I think we won today and Melbourne won by a bit more, so they've just jumped above us. But that's okay. Like, in this game, we're just trying to finish top 4. You know, if you can get top 2, that's great. But it's not the be-all and end-all, because the new season begins when you get to finals. I think that's the other thing that drove it.
Do you think that it does get in players' heads thinking about where the ladder sort of sits at the moment, given how tight it is as a non-Victorian team, getting a home final is so significant?
Yeah. We talked about it yesterday in our team meeting, the idea that we just didn't want to talk about the ladder or who's playing who. And we felt like maybe last week we did that a little bit. Just want to stay in the moment, play each game as it comes along. Next week we've got Adelaide, is still a sneaky chance, so they're going to come to the Gabba and try and play their best footy. We've got Collingwood the week after that, so and then Saints in the last game, so that it doesn't get any easier. But they're all good challenges. You'd rather have those sorts of games coming into finals than not.
Chris Fagan proving that football coaches don't just look ahead 1 week at a time. He knows what they've got for the next 3 weeks. They are good challenges, but they were up to the challenge today. They passed the test in the West, beating Fremantle by 3 points. MRO News, Mitch Turner, you've got it in.
Just quickly, Clint, 4 suspensions from yesterday's games, all for rough conduct. Bailey Williams from West Coast Eagles given 1 match for rough conduct on Mason Redman. In the Swans-Giants game, Braden Campbell given a 1-match suspension for rough conduct on Lockie Whitfield. Toby Bedford, 1 match for rough conduct on Ollie Florent. And Brent Daniels from the Giants, rough conduct on Jake Lloyd, getting him a week. So the big one there, probably Bailey Williams, the Eagles, without a ruckman for the Derby potentially.
Do you think, you saw it, Michael Walters could be in trouble for contact with the umpire? We've seen players fined for just glancing touches or when umpires have run back into them in recent weeks. It does seem to be a bit of a crackdown. They genuinely collided, the two of them.
Yeah. We've both noticed the spate in kind of fines for umpire contact, for very minor contact in recent weeks. They came together quite hard. Walters looked like he wore the brunt of it at the time, but I'd like to see the replay again, because if they've been giving out fines, and we know with umpire contact, and Harry's probably aware of this, and Shane, that you get warnings and things like that without always being made public. You get warnings, and when you get to certain levels, you get fined accordingly. But I'm not sure what Michael Walters' history is. If he has had any incidental contact, then he might be in trouble and he could miss the Derby. But it was certainly more contact with an umpire than we've seen since Jeremy Cameron ran into the umpire by accident, celebrating right at the start of the year. So he might be in a little bit of trouble. One to watch out for.
Yeah, that's a wait and see.
A fine at the least, I would say.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely get fined for that from what we've seen. I'd hate to see him miss a Derby. Derby 57 next week for Fremantle. But how good is next week's starting game on Friday night? You've both got a foot in these camps. Harry, Shane, Collingwood versus Geelong. We'll find out a bit about how the Collingwood side are going right now, as Geelong Well, they're able to fight back this week after their disappointing loss to Fremantle the week before. I cannot wait. I'll just be wishing my life away for Friday night.
Yeah, it's a great game, isn't it? Collingwood without a couple of really important players.
How do they go without Dacos?
Yep.
Nothing against Nathan Murphy, of course.
No, that's
but
right.
Dacos is the big question with whether Jake Nile today on the Sunday Footy Forum said that he doesn't think he'll be back until the preliminary final.
Yeah, but Geelong have got their own issues on the injury front.
Blitzarves.
Yep.
First time since 2017 those two haven't played, either of them, for the Cats. So it's a big time, isn't it? They're a very, very important player for the Cats, but they'll be lining up early to get a seat at that one. It's going to be an absolute beauty.
Blitz probably the most important, really, isn't it, at Geelong?
For me, he is. He's just so influential in so many different positions. Someone goes down with injury, someone's a bit out of form, he can cover just about every position on the field.
Great job today, gents. That was a terrific contest here in the West. Brisbane prevailing by 3 points thanks to Harry Taylor. I'll get his name right at the end. Shane Woden. Well done to Bridget Lacey, back from holidays. Great to have you back, Bridge. Adrian Sardi pushed all the buttons. Mitch Turner alongside me, Clint Wilden. Thanks very much for your company. The Lions by 3 points over the Dockers. Melbourne by 32 over North. And Carlton by 19 over the Saints. Bye for now.